Welcome back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler here with Johnny. Johnny, what's going on?
What up, T-Money?
I think last episode I didn't use the intro music, which saves me like a good minute in terms of editing because I don't have to export the file again and like go find that intro music. So we're going to just try to go without intro music and just go straight into the show. No offense to 8-Bit who made us that wonderful intro music. Maybe it comes back if people complain. That has happened before, Johnny. But we're just here. We're writing the show right now. Audio entertainment content for your ears.
Oh, put it in your ear hole. Love it.
You were just telling me how you were up in Josh Byerly's Whatnot stream buying Sega Genesis games.
Yeah, I was. People were bidding me up. I didn't appreciate it. Trying to buy a nice David Robinson. They wouldn't let me.
David Robinson.
Yeah. Supreme Court, you know.
Oh, of course. How can I forget?
Yeah. Had a really nice one, looked new, and I just couldn't make myself spend over $14 for it.
You know, I feel like just 2 or 3 years ago, I was making fun of Whatnot as this thing like, who's really going to join a Whatnot stream and just like buy random stuff? Like, wouldn't everything go really cheap? And then you're telling me about all the stuff you're buying from Josh and his Whatnot streams. And it sure seems like, it doesn't seem like a lot of people are joining and things are going cheap.
There was, Josh has okay amount of people in his. He has like between 38 and 50, I think today, which I think is good. I just found out the guys over at Lost Joystick Network also are doing Whatnot streams. They didn't tell me this. I guess they've had a few and didn't invite me. To watch their stream. Pretty rude.
If you didn't know about that, they're not doing a good job advertising, and kind of advertising as an influencer is like your main thing you need to be doing to be a successful Whatnotter, right?
I think so, but I think they have like between 15 and 20 people. And but even with like their 15 to 20 people they said they were getting per stream, they said they were still doing pretty good, but also 15 to 20, it's not the same 15 to 20 people the whole time because people wander in and out continuously. So it's a fair amount of traffic, I guess. I don't know. Josh Byerly's on a tear, getting rid of all this sealed stuff, just random stuff. I like to go in there, like I said, and just support friends, people who've helped me. I like to go in there and help as well. So, I buy some dumb stuff I don't have. I bought a nice Boudica Sega Genesis from him that was very complete. My copy is trashed, and this one was pretty nice. I was like, you know what? I could use an improvement on that. I'll throw some money that way.
See, like, all right, so 50 people sounds like a lot, but when you're spreading it out over numerous games and thinking like, all right, Budokan for Sega Genesis, how many of those 50 people are looking for that particular very obscure Sega Genesis game? And like, some people will be like, all right, well, that's low enough that I'll throw out a bid. If it's like $8 or something, just like throw it out. It's so far below what it's worth. I might as well buy it. But if you actually want something, like, what are the chances someone even bids you near market price for a near mint CIB of that game when there's only 50 people in the market?
It's pretty low, I would say. So what I've observed in Josh's stream, because he has like some pretty desirable stuff as far as being sealed, and like titles like Gears of War and stuff that I think that people will just spec on. So he gets people just spec bidding. And so I think a lot of his stuff goes close to market, but still, I would say trending towards under. So I think it is a lot of that. I think it's a lot of people looking for deals. So I think where you can capitalize, if you are someone like you and I, Tyler, who have stuff laying around and it doesn't matter what it sells for because the goal is not the money so much as the parting with the items.
Absolutely. I'm sure he just wants to get rid of all that stuff.
Yeah. So I think, again, if I was buying and reselling, I think I would be a lot more stressed out. But I think if I was just getting rid of stuff I had, then it might be fine. I'm going to do one. I'm going to do it eventually, Tyler. I'm going to get all those manuals one day. And then I'm going to do a stream and I'm going to be like, all right, it's manual madness. If you want a manual, come in here. And then I'm just going to invite people on the Discord and it's going to be like 9 of us and it's going to be sweet.
You need to do that thing where you get like a full set of SNES manuals and then everyone could come in and bid on the thing to complete their set.
Yeah. I'm just going to announce hundreds of NES manuals for auction.
But you should do it alphabetically so people can pop in and out and realize where it's at and be like, all right, if I come back in 15 minutes, he'll be up to the, I really need a north and south manual. So I'm gonna pop by when the ends come around.
I think what he does that is also smart compared to a lot of other streams I see is he puts his stuff at like, I think 15 or 20 seconds. Not sudden death, but like if it's under the 10-second mark and it gets a bit, it goes back to 10 seconds and it stays like that. Versus people who start at like a minute and then you're just like waiting and you're just like, and then it gets to 10 seconds. And that's obviously when people bid. So the first 50 seconds are fuck off time anyways, because nobody's bidding. They're just waiting for the final 10 seconds when the real action happens. Some people do sudden death and that seems crazy. Yeah.
Or it just doesn't extend.
Yeah. It's like goes 10 seconds and that's it. Or they do 30
fun.
seconds. Yeah. I think that's fun. I think that creates some tension and, you're going to get somebody's might get a deal there. And like, so that can be cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to do it with manuals and we'll see. Do like $4 starts. Every manual's going to start at like $4 and, that's it. We'll see what happens.
I mean, I really like you guys, but I feel like as someone who very much champions just buy the exact specific thing you want at market price, just always get the number one thing on your want list. Joining a Whatnot stream is a surefire way to be like, oh, that's so nice, and it's at like 80% of price charting value. It makes no sense for me not to buy. I'll just be buying like all this random junk I don't need.
Yes, that's how they get you. Yeah, that's you've discovered the mechanism.
I mean, yes,
by which Whatnot works.
I don't want that. That is a trap that kind of ties into our topic because if you just buy every computer game, it's just a never-ending like dumpster of madness. You'll just become a crazy person.
But what if I want one of? What if I want one of each one?
We're gonna talk about that actually.
Oh, okay. Well, you're going to have to explain it to me. Do we want to jump into the topic? What do you got going on? It was just 4th of July. America, fuck yeah. We did it. Yeah, we celebrated that. I don't think people are at peak patriotism right now, but hey, a thing happened. How was your 4th?
I saw like half of a firework over the tree horizon by me. That was it. You know what? I've seen fireworks. It's fine.
Oh, yeah. My 4th started out with a bang. Get it?
Hey.
No, very exciting. I was going to get my tires changed. It was the afternoon of the 4th. And there was a giant fire. Do you want to guess what happened?
California?
Well, that's a good guess. But no, somebody's house, fireworks went off in their house and it became a raging giant fire about 2 blocks from my house. And yeah, the news was there. Helicopters were all over. Whole house burned down. People died. It was horrific.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
Yeah.
Damn. This is not a feel-good story.
No, it was wild how gigantic this fire was. So be careful, people. That's like, you hear it's like, oh, yeah, people just trying to kill our fun because fireworks are awesome. Yeah, I guess they exploded in his garage and hit like chemicals. And man,
Jesus.
It was a fucking nightmare scenario.
Everyone listening to this podcast needs to hear that and never bring fireworks into their house because you guys have a bunch of stuff you don't want to burn down. Or maybe this is your insurance fraud tip and this is your chance to be free of it all, guys.
Yeah. Hey, all that fine cardboard you have, don't worry about it.
Oh, man, Johnny, just imagine if it all burned down, you'd be free. You wouldn't have any Star Wars figures to worry about, no more Legos, no more video games. You could just go hiking and live in a cabin in the woods.
If all of my stuff burned, would it be more paper burning or it would just be like plastic? It would be melted plastic. People would be like, what happened? They're like, why is that one room still standing? It's a plastic shell. What happened? It would be like, that magic shell you put over like an ice cream cone. It would be like that.
John, do you ever think about what you would rebuy if all your stuff disappeared in a flood or a fire or something?
All the time. Yeah, that's a whole episode for us, I think.
Like, there's no chance I would go and set collect or get even nearly like a 10th as many games as I have now. I think I would do.
No.
That is where we're going back to it. I would start the Billy Bookcase challenge if my house burned down. I would have much bigger problems for a very long time before I got back into video game collecting. But when we're getting back into video game collecting, we're not having shelves of stupid Super Nintendo games, Romance of the Three Kingdoms 4. You know, it's going to be Super Mario Brothers 3, Doom, and like Half-Life, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous of those people with like one or two
So many
shelves.
PC games that I bet you would be buying.
Oh, wow. I would be getting a lot of PC games, but they do take up a lot of space on my one Billy bookcase because they come in big boxes.
Depends how you buy them. I mean, you can buy them just as loose disc. You could have a spindle full of the best computer collection ever.
I mean, as we all did. All right, I mean, let's start talking about computer games, Johnny.
Let's do it.
I had as a kid, I had the clamshell CD case with the transparent top, and you sort of thumb through it like a Rolodex, and that's where I stored all my games. But I very vividly remember all my friends had their home computer in this big wooden cabinet, and almost everybody had a shelf next to it or like on the top where they had all of their big box computer games. And I remember not a lot of my friends saved their console game packaging, but the big box packaging, people really liked saving that and keeping it next to the computer. Except for me, I immediately threw all of mine out.
So my wife had more computer games than I did. So I remember when we got her stuff, it was just like literally like a random book of CDs and like and jewel cases, like a wooden box full of jewel cases that sat on the desk by the computer. So all those big boxes just went in the trash. Like no manuals in the front of them either. And she had like Warcraft and Starcraft and stuff. And I was just like, what happened here? A crime was committed.
I mean, I would throw out jewel cases unless they had a CD key on them. And then I'm like, oh, this is a precious piece of thing that I need to keep because this allows me to play online. But other than that, like, I did not care. I would never keep jewel cases. It's a waste of space. Talk to Tiger Wolf about it. He throws out all his jewel cases now. like collectible games. He'll just be like, there's no room for this.
Gross. Please stop talking about it.
I remember, I'm going in like the late 90s, early 2000s. I got a lot of my PC games from places like Best Buy and Micro Center. And all their big box PC games were kind of face out. They took up an enormous amount of shelf space. And, they had like the eye-catching different boxes and different box shapes and that. And then they had a separate budget section, and you would get budget games that only came in the jewel case. So I would always associate, like, if you only have a jewel case, this is a game for this is like a crappy game. I remember specifically one I got was Puzzle Bobble, like the arcade game, Bust-A-Move. Like it was just an arcade port of that, like very simple. It was like $1. So I that's what I associate with jewel cases, which is funny because I really like jewel cases on PlayStation. I feel like PlayStation jewel cases, I look at it, I'm like, ooh, look at this shiny black. This feels so premium, but on a computer game, it's nothing.
Nope.
Same thing with like a DVD case. If you saw a DVD case computer game, you're like, what is that? Just like you would think about like your first instinct is like, just throw it out. Like no one's going to want a DVD case computer game.
Yeah. You're like, what? Why do you even have that? Ugh. And a lot of annoying ones have the dumb slip cover. It's like a blank DVD case and then they put a cardboard slip cover over it. I don't understand what the hell's going on with those ones. I hate that.
I mean, that's every GameCube game though. So, I mean, you can't love Nintendo and hate that.
No. The cardboard slipcover that just go. I mean, I guess that's like the Japanese ones, right? They do that. Yeah. I hate that. Icky.
I mean, I do like a cardboard box.
Yeah.
But Johnny, I've kind of always collected PC games. I guess maybe not at the very beginning because I did start collecting basically NES and Saturn. I don't really know when I got into PC, but it's always been a part of my gaming life. Like my grandparents had a 386 that I played like Commander Keen and like casino shareware games on, I remember. And then, I don't know, I probably had like a Pentium 2 or a Pentium 4. And I remember I grew up with like Wolfenstein and Doom and into Unreal Tournament and Half-Life. I don't really know when I got into exactly collecting PC games, but it was never like something I shunned. And I feel like a lot of people specifically shun computer gaming, probably because they don't play games on computers. But like those same people would buy a Sega CD game or a Saturn game, even though they never play Sega CD or Saturn. And so this episode, I just want to talk about interesting parts of collecting PC games, reasons you might want to collect PC games. So like this is a So You Want to Collect PC, but it's more of an overview because we can't really do a So You Want to Collect PC. It's too big of a topic. So this is the topic overview. And at the end of the episode, I want to go over a list of genres, and we'll think of like the most collectible or important first game in that genre and how it's probably a computer game. And that could be a reason or a way to start collecting computer games.
Okay. I'm going to have to rely a lot on this, on you for this, because I have some more experience now, but whole genre, like, man, this is going to be an interesting experience. Let's get into it, shall we?
If people are thinking about computer games, most of them are thinking about like mid-90s big box computer games because those are the most collectively exciting one. When you go on, what's the guy's name? Lazy Game Reviews on YouTube. He's one of the biggest old PC guys. He's got like his old PC collection, and it is thousands of old computer games. And you don't think of like, oh, here's a baggy release of Ultima 1. Like, maybe he has that, but if you have 100 shelves full of thousands of big box PC games, that's all people see, and that's all I think people associate with computer games. And I do think that is probably the most exciting thing to collect because they're really big. They're usually like very big popular games, Unreal Tournament, Half-Life, Tomb Raider, things like that. And they're very cheap, especially compared to console games. I mean, everything has gone up in price lately, but like a first print Half-Life is what, like $100 compared to some like Magic of Scheherazade is like $60 to $80. Which would you rather have? I'm going to take the Half-Life.
Yes, I'm going to agree with you there.
But I want to highlight a few sort of eras of computer stuff to collect, like really broad eras, because the first video game stuff you can collect are all computer games, because kind of the first video game thing, like the first piece of video game ephemera that I think you can collect, and there's probably some pretty obscure stuff before this, like books and articles. The Nim Champ token from the New York World's Fair 1939 to 1940. There was a computer game called the Nimatron. It was just a computer that had like LEDs on it, and you would play it in Nim, and it would play Nim with a perfect strategy. Nim is the game where you have a certain number of dots, and you can choose how many dots you want to remove, and whoever takes the last dot loses. Something like that. And if you beat the computer, I think like 1 in 10 people beat it, you got a token that said Nim Champ. And these are worth like $75 to $200. I think they're super cool. If you're a person who only wants to own video game media, I totally understand that. This is probably not the era of video games for you.
Yeah, I would say not. But the NimChamp token, that's cool. You have one of those, don't you?
I have 2 of them, Johnny.
Ooh, 2? Why do you have 2?
I upgraded.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's one of my kind of forever save searches, because I feel like I can always convince someone that it's cool to own that, because it's probably not the earliest video game thing. First of all, it's not a video game, it's a computer game. But like there's these weird shooting galleries that use projectors from like the 1910s, and there are books and articles that reference them. So there are things you could technically get that are older related to video games. But this is probably the I don't know. I'm not going to call anything the earliest when you're getting into this kind of obscure. Someone's going to call me out. There's something you could own that's earlier, but I don't know. It's cool.
Okay.
If you want to collect, let's say, real computer games, the era that you would probably start in is the late 70s to early 80s with the home computer revolution. And that's basically the Apple II, the Commodore VIC-20, the TRS-80. Or if you're in the UK, that's the ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC. There's another BBC Micro. In Japan, there was the Sharp X1, the PC 8001 and PC 88, and the Fujitsu FM7. And
the Fujitsu FM8. Don't forget the FM8.
I like going for the earlier ones, Johnny. See, this is
no, the Fujitsu FM8 comes before the 7.
Oh, does it? See, there is stuff like that. Like the PC 8001 comes before the PC 6600.
Which is why I wanted to bring it up, because just because you hear these number orders, the numbers aren't necessarily indicative of the order in which you would think they would go in. So yeah, the FM8 was 1981, and I think the FM7 was 1983.
See, I don't know of any FM8 games. There probably are FM8 games, but it's just probably something that's really obscure. Like sometimes you see these really obscure computers and have games where the Opus 1 in the UK or like the Pasopia 7 in Japan. These computers that no one except like super nerds has even heard of.
The FM8 was more education and business, so you probably got like real dumb, obscure edutainment games.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, I have a question. Hold on. I'm sorry. You're on the whole thing, but do you know what the Dragon 64 is?
It's sort of a TRS-80 it's like exactly a TRS-80 that came out in the UK.
It's just okay. Because someone was asking me about this and I was like,
wait, okay. Well, that's what a Dragon 32 is. Is a Dragon 64 something else?
I don't know. I literally don't know. I didn't know there was a computer called the Dragon, but I was like, what a sweet name for a computer.
It's Dragon 32 64. It's just how much RAM it has. But yeah, it's just a TRS-80.
Okay. All right, sorry. Go on.
Phantom Slayer, one of the first FPS games ever, released on the Dragon 32. The TRS-80 version is real hard to find. You got to get that UK version on the Dragon 32, Johnny.
All right. I'm going to do it now.
All right. And so, John, if you don't care about, I just listed like 10 computers, and that's not nearly all of them. There were so many different computers of this era. Those are just kind of the major ones that like important games came out on, because when you're releasing a retail video game, like, yes, you can release a version for the Opus 1, but a lot more video games got released for the Commodore 64, especially important games. And
I mean, will you just do some background work here? Just explain to people that these are all different computers. These are not the same. It's not the same platform. It's not. I think sometimes we gloss over this stuff because we talk about it too quickly, but these are all different operating platforms. It's not like it is today. It's not like Windows and Mac, and that's like it, or Steam. Everything is different, and it doesn't all talk to each other.
And that does make it really interesting, because very similar to how, the Sega Master System and NES version of a game, that's a bad example. I don't know if a ton of games crossed over there. Was something with a lot of the Genesis versus the Super Nintendo version of a game. They'll have their own quirks. They'll have their own audio. They'll have their own graphics. A lot of times they'll be completely different developed games. And and sometimes they're pretty similar, unlike SNES versus Genesis. On all of these computers, they could be extremely different. Like entire like groups of levels change. The graphics and audio are completely unique on each one because they all have their own personality, their own limitations. Kind of all of them are dog shit. Like, not a single one of these computers can do smooth scrolling well. And so some of these games have like janky, choppy scrolling, and some of them, when you get to the edge of the screen, it flips over to the next screen. They like all these different kind of workarounds for how bad computers were of the day.
An excellent example of this, if you want to see something, we all know how revolutionary Castlevania is, or at least maybe we've glossed over how it was. Like the smooth scrolling in Castlevania, and like just going through and having like these endless levels and going up and down. Like, Castlevania was pretty important. It did a lot of things really right and made it easy, and then add in the jumping and everything. Castlevania, technically very cool, especially on the NES. If you look at it on like the Sharp X68000 or the MSX, the MSX can't do the scrolling that the NES does. So they had to like modify the code in that game so it would do like this quick swap as you went to the next screen. So like it's a much different experience. It makes it a kind of a different game when you have these little loads in between each of these screens. It just creates an entirely different experience, especially when you've got enemies coming from all directions.
Yeah, maybe not the best era for kind of basically any 2D action game. PCs are not going to be the best at that. And
No.
scrolling platformers also not the best. Just this, anything from the 70s and 80s cannot scroll well. And if it does, it's like this unique thing that's probably praised for how good the graphics are.
And that's Castlevania is one of the ones where it's praised for like they did like kind of a good job. And you can go look. There's even like a Commodore version, pretty obscure, of Castlevania. Go look at these things. Go look at the differences of them, and then look at the NES. And you're thinking, oh man, these are computers. They must be crushing the Nintendo. No, no, not in this instance.
Yeah, it turns out NES is really good at that smooth scrolling.
Yep.
And so famously, id Software, John Carmack, the guy who made Doom, he made a demo of Super Mario Brothers 3 on the computer because he wanted to port it to the computer for Nintendo. This is like a complete super genius, like video game hardware, computer hardware guy. One of the most famous programmers of all time at this point. And his scrolling version of Super Mario Brothers 3 is still like a little bit dog shit. It is not as good as the NES, and it was extremely impressive for the time, but still in the 90s, Super Mario Brothers 3 on a computer, still not as good as the NES.
Yeah,
but I don't want to. I'm not here to say that computers are shit, Johnny.
No. There's just different limitations. It's just different things were happening. You were saying like kind of the differences in games too from platform to platform, like the Genesis to the Super Nintendo. It's not like that. Maybe the Genesis and Super Nintendo are closer. I actually think this is a really apt comparison because of how different the Genesis and the Super Nintendo games can be from each other, even down to, like you said, the music, different levels, sometimes entirely different games. If you look at computers of this era, it's almost like looking at different consoles. I think that's a pretty easy way to think of it. Now, I think computers are too ubiquitous. Like, it's just on computer, right? Like, I don't really think about if I'm going to be able to play a game or all the things you need to do. But back then, everything was just a different console.
Yeah, basically.
Yep.
Johnny, this is my favorite era because I like historically important kind of weird stuff. And
there's a lot of weird stuff. And so much is actually lost to time.
Everything can trace itself back to the late 70s, early 80s, because everything comes back to Wizardry 1. Oh my God, every video game has been influenced by Wizardry, which actually goes back even further to the Plato network, but we're not going to talk about mainframe computers here. So this is the best era. I'm just going to say this is the best era because, again, lots of really important stuff came out, Ultima, Wizardry, the early origins of all the strategy games that you could think of, all the adventure games you could think of. And all the sales are super low. So when you think of a game like Ultima, Temple of Apshai, like an important RPG, these games sold Temple of Apshai is actually a more successful game. But like, let's say Ultima, it sold tens of thousands of copies, and that's a really successful game for 1981. Whereas tens of thousands of copies puts you in like the top 5 or 10% of the rarest NES games that's worth thousands of dollars. And I think it's really, I guess, interesting and exciting to be able to get historically important, good games that are also really rare, because that's usually not something that goes hand in hand. Because usually you look at Uncharted 2 or Half-Life or StarCraft, and these are super common games that are super good. You want to own them, but it's also exciting as a collector to own something that's rare.
Yeah, it's a lot different. The NES sold so many games. It's not really comparable. But when you're talking about influence too, so few influence so many. Let's get into some of it though, Tyler. Like where do we go from here? So we're in the 70s and 80s. This is your favorite era. So lots of early impressive stuff, right? Well, impressive versus influential, like very influential. Not a lot going on, but where do we go from here?
I mean, we're just going to keep going on the eras, Johnny. I think the big box PC era kind of starts in the 80s-ish and goes up to the early 2000s. It's what most people are going to think of with computer games.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so we were just talking about from the 70s to the early 80s. So you're saying this is like realistically starting in the 90s big box PC era, the late 80s? Well, where's the middle 80s?
Well, all right.
Where's 84 through 87? Is that just so dominated by home console sales that we stopped thinking about computers and games? What happened?
There's no big box PC doesn't mean anything. It's just an era where video game packaging got obnoxiously big for kind of no reason, except that I guess Best Buy had way too much shelf space, and like CompUSA could just afford to sell a thing the size of a jewel case in packaging 20 times bigger than a jewel case.
Well, it made it harder to steal, and it made it stand out on the shelf, which then got eyes on it.
Yes.
And they used to pay for it. They used to pay for that space too, quite a bit.
So the packaging here is interesting because in the kind of the late 70s and the very early 80s, a lot of games were sold in like Ziploc baggies at like,
just
computer shops.
On pegs. You'd walk into Radio Shacks, it'd be in a bag on a peg, just hanging on a hook. Just not a big deal.
Yeah, and those are kind of the most exciting games because all of those are like pretty much all of those are pretty rare. Also, among the most bootlegged computer games because there isn't much to do except copy a floppy disk and create a manual. So that's kind of a problem. But in the early 80s, that's when we got the first boxed computer games. And it's a little bit, I think, debatable and fuzzy, but Computer Bismarck is the first kind of major boxed release by SSI. It's a computer war game for like absolute nerds. It comes with like maps that you have like oil crayons. You like draw on the actual maps and then play the game. It's some real super nerd shit, which is what you would expect from SSI, which is a real super nerd shit strategy game company.
What year was Computer Bismarck?
I think 1980.
1980. Okay. So can you also just explain to people a little bit more on like, because we're talking about discs and baggies. Can you just tell us the type of discs, but also that computer games can also come on cartridges? Because I think that's not exactly clear.
Okay, yes.
And tapes. Like, tell us the types of media.
All right. So most of the interesting games from the 70s that are exciting come on cassette tapes that you would like load up in an actual cassette player and then play back into your Commodore 64. And then after cassettes...
So it's not just all floppy disks.
No. Cassettes came before floppy disks. And then... So after cassettes, you get 5 1/4-inch floppy disks. Still sold in baggies. And then for some very few games, like a 10th, a 20th as many games, you'll see cartridges for certain games. Specifically the Commodore 64, you'll see a lot of cartridges because it had a cartridge slot on the back of the Commodore 64. However, the majority of Commodore games you will buy will be on a 5 1/4-inch floppy.
Yeah, or tape. You can get some Commodore tapes, right?
Yeah, or tape.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting, right? Because for someone like myself who did not have a lot of experience with computer games, even when we started this podcast, right? I was like, this is a computer game, but it's on a cartridge. I was like, wait, what do you mean? I also, for most of my life, since I didn't have a computer in the early 80s, I grew up too poor for that nonsense. I thought the Commodore 64 was just another video game console. I did not understand that it was a computer.
Well, they made it a console, didn't they?
I don't like
what? I forgot the name of that thing. The Commodore 64 game system. It's a home console that only plays Commodore 64 cartridges. You don't remember that, Johnny? Released in December 1990? Everyone was talking about the TurboGrafx, the NES, the Sega Master System, and the Commodore 64 game system. I guess Sega Genesis at that point.
No, I don't remember that from 1990. But I mean, even in the early 80s, like when I looked at these games, I'm like, this is just like a weird video game console that was around the same time as the Nintendo. What is this? Why has no one ever said this to me? Then I'm like, what do you mean it's a computer? It was, it was a little eye-opening for me. And like, granted, I grew up in that era, but the economic gap there and the people I knew and what my family had compared to what other families had, it does create a little bit of a divide. So just, There was some stuff going on, and I did not know. That's why I want people to understand. These things are computers.
I used to. So, all right, I'll just say, as a kid, as like a teenager, when I wanted to get into like old computers and old video games, I got a Commodore 64 because I figured it was like the most popular thing. It has like the most games, like everything's on the Commodore 64. And I remember really liking buying cartridges because loading discs is like a little bit of a pain in the ass and it takes a long time to load. And so whenever I could get a cartridge, I'd be like, oh, I really want to get all these cartridge games. And a lot of the exciting, like important games are not on cartridges. There's a lot of like edutainment, like arcade ports. It's just like, I don't know.
Cartridges were very much
There's not
targeted.
a lot of exciting stuff on cartridges, I don't think, that you're going to find.
No, I think cartridges were targeted. Also, they were more expensive to do, right? So, when you did that, you had to have like a market that you were very specifically looking to get when you put it on a cartridge.
And since they're more expensive to make, I would bet that the first release of anything that happens to be on a cartridge, or like is not going to be the cartridge version. So... No, and it's probably like the rarer, more expensive version. It's just like all around, like you're probably not going to buy that many cartridges.
No, and I don't know if this is true, but I know what cartridge limitations look like compared to floppy disk and stuff. And it feels like those are going to be the most limited of the versions as well.
Johnny.
Yes.
What else? What else we're going to say about this amazing era of computer games? We were talking about boxes. So in the 80s, we got games like Computer Bismarck and Ultima 2. They started shifting from baggies to boxes. And it was sort of like saying like, oh, these are some serious games now. Like we're not just some thing on the peg at your computer store. Like we are demanding a serious retail presence. This isn't like some mail order thing anymore.
Yeah. Radio Shack needs box space. They got to put shelves in.
And
just like you guys collecting these games, you need to put shelves in.
We do, yeah. What a pain in the ass. How it would be so easy if we just had baggies. We'd be able to save so much space. We'd be like comic collectors, basically.
Yeah. Yep. We'd be like, I got the best boards for these games now. They're so good. That just slides in, keeps my baggies nice and straight, not so wrinkled anymore. Do you think we would be like, do you wish they put these in boxes? It would be so much easier.
Johnny, this was sort of like 1980 to 1981, which is strange to think about because video game consoles had boxed releases for years before this. Like the Atari 2600, with 4 years of boxed release, it practically was in its prime already. And computer games were still just starting to get into boxes.
They weren't because when you had a computer, you had little boxes to put the stuff you were going to buy in already. They were like, what are we going to give? One, we don't want to increase the cost of this product by putting it in a fancy box. They're just going to throw it in one of these plastic things they got at home anyways. Because every house that had a computer had this giant plastic box where you could put your different discs or cassettes.
And, they probably weren't thinking about the collectors for some reason. I mean, a lot of early computer game development was driven by hobbyists. It's kind of crazy how, you'll see these the stories of famous developers, like even like kind of id Software. They're a little bit more, professional of an outlet, even though they're basically like some smart college kids who, partner with Softdisk or whatever. But like Codemasters in the UK, it was like two teenagers making games in their bedroom and they became like multi-millionaires because that's just how that there was real companies weren't taking video games as seriously. And then, over the course of the 80s, people started taking things seriously and then all the fun got sucked out of video games forever. And that's why video games are terrible like they are now. But it was really exciting in the late 70s and early 80s, let me tell you. I was there. I wasn't there. I wasn't alive, but I imagine it was really exciting.
But I don't know anything about it. Hey, Tyler, I want to get into one other thing. Keeping with packaging and kind of regionality, because I think a lot of what happens too is you think, oh man, there's all these PC releases. Computers are just ubiquitous, but that doesn't mean that games weren't not region locked exactly, but they just weren't sold in our region, so we just didn't get all of the games here. Like a lot of stuff, especially British microcomputer stuff, did not come out here. Just was never here. You would never see it. And we're talking like Commodore, Amstrad games, ZX Spectrum just they never made it to our shores.
Before the internet, there's like multiple timelines of video game history. Like Japan had its own thing going on. We had our own thing going on in America, and the UK had its own thing going on. Like, as NES was the thing in America and was super popular, computers were more popular in the UK. Like, NES was still a thing there, but you will find more Commodore and Amiga games than you will find UK NES games for sale. It's just, we had different layers of history, and they had like all these super important games that everyone over there is going to know about. Your School Days, your Jet Set Willy, your Sensible Soccer, that people in America don't even know exist. And you'll talk to like a British person, they'll be like, oh yeah, it's one of the most classic games ever. What are you talking about?
People still don't know about Jet Set Willy here, or its sequel, just so we're clear.
Yeah.
The other thing is types of packaging there. So even if it wasn't a bag, sometimes they were just sold in these weird cassette cases. And you think, like you would buy in the 80s, your music cassettes, they had cassette tapes like that were just sold. And the instruction manual was typed into that whole little flap thing in the front of the cassette. It was just like folded cardboard, and you would untuck it, and that was your manual. And it looks like a budget release. But then they also had these weird, like, plasticky clamshells. So think about like Disney VHS tapes. Not that big, but that same type of like jet molded plastic, the kind of like hollowy plastic, that clamshell. They had these for the games there too. And then they also had these other hard plastic cassette tape holders. So it was bigger than the cassette by about an additional third for some reason.
It's like a cassette long box.
Yeah, for some reason, which I don't know why the extra space was there. Do you know why that space was there? Am I missing something?
Better shelf presence, probably.
Yeah. So you also had this type of packaging, and this was stuff that actually would sometimes sit on shelves. And this was more British than it was over here in the US. I was like a very distinct feature of British microcomputers, and some Japanese ones as well. But also re-releases of games and like budget releases. It's a nightmare. When you think about all the versions of games, they're just like, oh, there's like 4 different budget releases of this game, and we did a combo pack of it 17 times with different games. Please enjoy collecting British microcomputer games.
So that is definitely a thing. They had entire publishing labels that would just re-release a game in a very undesirable format. It was basically greatest hits for computer games. So one of them is called Kicks. If you see a Kicks release of a game, that it'll have awful box art. You'll notice it right away. It just means that it's a late release. You basically don't want it. No one wants it. All these British computer games are very cheap to begin with. So like, I don't know, like people don't really collect them. I don't even think British people collect them because like good games are like under $10.
Well, and some of them, like you were talking about, are created by hobbyists, or not that many were created. So they're like kind of cheap, but also they don't exist. So if there's something you kind of want, not like, there's a lot of stuff that's just like, oh, it was a famous movie, so they made a bunch of them. But some of this is like, you'll get like these weird, obscure games, and you're just like, oh, they didn't actually make very many of these. And if you want it, you better buy it, because most people consider this trash. So you may never see it again.
I think for the most part, you should focus on the popular stuff that did have an impact on the gaming industry. You know, the games, the Manic Miners, the Jet Set Willies, the Phantom Slayers. If you don't know, these are 2 very popular platformers, and Phantom Slayer is an early first-person shooter for like the TRS-80. It's very janky, but like, yes, there is a lot of self-published, very small releases, small publisher, mail order type stuff. And it is relatively affordable. Like that kind of stuff, if that kind of stuff was released on like Atari 2600, you're talking like thousands of dollars. You're talking like the Red Sea Crossings of the world, the Extraterrestrials of the world, the Birthday Mania, these super rare, obscure Atari games, but everyone kind of knows about them because Atari people collect the set. Whereas if there's like a Commodore 64 game and there's 3 copies in collectors' hands, they're the only 3 people who know about it. So it's probably worth, hundreds of dollars rather than thousands of dollars.
Yeah. And I'm not saying you should focus on this, but I'm saying if this is something you're after, like stuff like this, who knows what's going to be going on with that. A good place where you can like see these like shown and played, and like retrogames.co UK. He's got a YouTube channel, and unfortunately, I think like he's done like 4 or 5 different iterations of like what his YouTube videos are, but I think he's finally giving it up. He said so. I think we're not going to be seeing many more. Yeah, the final on the table he put out where it was very sad. He's like, I just haven't ever grown an audience and over 4 years.
I thought that was clickbait. So. I didn't watch that video yet.
Yeah, no, that's real. It's sad. Anyways. He's a weirdo, and it's kind of a weird video, but he's very passionate about games, especially of this era and this type. So you can go back and watch old stuff. It's like what he's gotten into the shop, but he just likes to showcase these games. So if you want to see these things demonstrated, it's a very good YouTube channel to go check out. So go give it a look. Yeah, it's a little weird. So just stay. He's an interesting character all to himself. So just get through that, and then he'll show you the games and appreciate his passion.
So he is a great resource because he is one of the more accessible ways to just straight up buy British computer games from America. Like, you don't go to eBay and you don't have to buy these things piecemeal. He has a very big shop, retrogames.co.uk, probably a very expensive domain name now. And then he sells all these stupid games for like $3 each. I don't know how he's in business.
And he knows about them, and he tells you if it's complete or not complete, what it's missing. This is the version with this. This is the greatest hits version. It's just shopping through him is a resource to understand what is going on with the games. So, yeah. And then when he talks about it on his channel, he shows gameplay. Like, yeah, super valuable source. We've talked about it before, but yeah, you can go to his YouTube channel. You can go to the game store and you can buy stuff. Really good.
And it's worth going to retrogames.co.uk, clicking some computers and sorting by highest price just to get an idea of, like, compared to consoles, how undesirable, like, really rare, obscure stuff is. Because all of his highest price stuff, you know, he'll have a couple games that are like 100, 200 pounds. And you'll look at it and you'll be like, wow, this looks like the only copy that will exist ever. It'll have like a handwritten label, like very clearly like made one at a time type stuff, or like very... it looks like a small publisher thing, and it'll be like, yeah, I don't know, this is the only copy that's ever turned up. Anyway, if anyone wants to give me $200 for it, and then no one wants to, like, it's that rare, and no one wants it anyway.
Yeah, there's a game that I have in my cart from him right now, and it's a cassette for the Acorn Electron computer. You into this?
I'm not into Acorn Electron games.
Okay, well, it's called Dracula Island by Kansas. That's the publisher. Dracula Island, okay? Hey, what it says about the game. 1985 super rare text adventure. The only one we've ever seen. Shows some pictures of it. When am I ever going to find Dracula Island again?
Might not be MOB games. That's how you know it's good.
Yep. So, but yeah, go look at it and go, even if you just go to the Commodore section and just sort it by highest to low. So it's stark compared to like if you did that by the NES or something.
So, Johnny, I don't know exactly what it was like in 1982 in London versus, you know, even like the late 80s, you know, the UK versus America. But when I think of games from the 80s, like computer games, I'm thinking of like SSI Gold Box games. Like the quintessential 1980s computer game to me is like Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Pool of Radiance. A kind of this landmark release, comes in a big fancy gold box. It's a turn-based RPG. It's got a first-person view. It's a great game. And a lot more computer games from Europe were like these £2 kind of bullshit games. Like literally they would cost £1.99. They were like sold at like a supermarket on spindles like comic books, and they were super cheap. And yes, I had those cheapy games at, you know, CompUSA, but there wasn't this entire culture of like an entire series, entire publishers of games that only produced games for like $2.
No.
It was just it's a very different thing. Anyway, if you hit me up, if you were alive in the mid 80s in the UK, tell me what buying home computer games was like.
I mean, I think you could reach out to Jason. He would tell you.
Which Jason?
Jace, the
retro. I'm sure you would tell me. Yes, the retrogames.co.uk guy. That guy's so
Anyways, so I derailed this a little bit, but I wanted to just cover like types of media and stuff before we just kind of glossed over that. Everything was a lot different than what we knew, and what we've got to now when people think about computers.
Sure. Johnny, I want to clarify something that I think some people don't know. Like, there is no definition of a big box PC game. So when you think of, so go back to like Pool of Radiance. I guess that's a big box computer game. It's like a little bit bigger than an NES box. And that's not like the gigantic 90s boxes you're used to, but there's not really like a definition of it. Maybe someone has tried to make a definition of it. But basically anything that's in a box that you would consider relatively large will fit into the big box PC era. But Johnny, in 2000... I don't know, 3-ish. I don't know when the first small box PC games came out. It didn't coincide with the release of DVDs.
That's all you're going to say about big box PC games?
I mean, that's the era. Like, you know what the big box PC game era is.
We know what they are. So I mean, but it's not just that they're these big fat. It's also not just big box. It's also like weird packaging. So it's not just that it's a big box. Like, you also get the weird ass packaging, hexagons, and it's big box, also crazy packaging.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the most collectible things about the entire era. So obviously all the good games, all the important games, all the StarCrafts and whatever, those are games people want. And then the other games people want are games that have interesting boxes. Not only just shapes, like obviously the IDOS boxes like Final Fantasy VII and Tomb Raider have the trapezoid boxes, and Day of the Tentacle has a big triangular pillar as a box, and those are all really exciting and collectible. There are certain boxes that like open in strange ways, boxes that you can pose and like transform. There's like this origami artist. I don't know the name of it. I'm not into the weird box scene, but there's this certain, whatever the term is, like a packaging engineer. They've made like a couple, like a dozen games or so. And all of them have like these super intricate origami boxes with multiple moving parts. And people are like super into this guy so much that they know the designer of the box. I only know the designer of one NES box. I know Josh Byerly made boxes for a couple homebrew games. That's the only box designer I've ever even heard of. So, box designs are a big deal in the big box area.
Yep. Okay. Now you can move us on to small box PC, the bullshit era of PC collecting.
See, that is the thing. People don't want small box PC games, which is crazy because games in the 2000s are still really good. 2007, that's like prime small box PC territory, considered one of the best years for video games ever. And you would look at all of those games and just be like, yeah, but it's a small box PC game. What am I going to do with that?
Yeah, well, I think part of the problem is I think consoles were, I'm not saying they caught up, but they were catching up a little more. So, and it looked like computer games were kind of cheaping out to compete with that. So I think just that perceived downgrade and the quality's getting closer because, PC Master Race and all that, I feel like they would been knocked down a peg. So they look at these small boxes. So they feel some kind of way about it. So you get this contingent of people that just, they want to badmouth it a little bit.
Like, that's the thing. Like, yes. So they are cheaping out on the packaging. Let's face it. Like, the 1990s PC packaging was completely excessive and ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Not sustainable.
And so they're cheaping out on it, but it's still fancier and more collectible packaging than you're getting on like the Xbox 360. It's a cardboard box. It's basically, a little bit bigger than an NES box, for getting back to, which, it's thick enough. It's a little bit thicker than an NES box, and it really gives the titles like a lot more room to shine and be bold on a shelf. I think collections of small box PC games look awesome. But I've almost never seen one because a lot of people are like, all right, well, there it is. We're at the 2000s. It's time for me to stop collecting PC games because I don't want Team Fortress 2. I don't want Portal. I don't want BioShock. I don't want Stalker. Like, I don't want Half-Life 2. Like, all these games are small box PC games.
Well, it's interesting too because if there was ever a time that you could kind of collect computer games and make it easy on yourself, it was small box PC games. They were all tidy and uniform. Like we finally have done it. You could get them all on a shelf. You could show a big collection and not have to have 3 rooms to do it.
They're mostly uniform. There is no exact small box PC spec, but it is much more consistent than big box, which are a little bit all over the place.
I mean, look, there's no consistent specs to even retro games, right? We go from the Sega CD to the NES to the DS and the PSP. Like, yes, they range in size, but in general, you could like put the same shelf up, and within 1 peg or 2 pegs, all of your small box PC games are going to fit on one shelf, like 1 peg up or down.
Sure. Yep.
And that's nice because that wasn't always the case with big box PC games. Who the fuck knows? And you could, with a small box PC game, you're going to get like 20 on a shelf versus a big box PC. What are you getting? 8? Like on a Billy? If that,
you're getting more than 8.
A big box PC games?
I'll send you a picture of my shelf. I don't know, maybe 15, 20.
Okay.
They're not that 15, much bigger
20
than
on one shelf?
Yeah.
On one Billy.
On one Billy bookcase.
Okay. Well,
hold on. I'm going to go count. It's right next to me. Hold on.
Okay.
Johnny, it's like 15 on one shelf.
Okay. So how many small box PC games would that be?
I don't know. A lot more.
A lot more, and you will get a lot more shelves on the same Billy versus the big box PC. So where you might get 4, 5 shelves on a Billy for big box PC games, you're probably getting 6 or 8 at least for small box PC games. So the point is, it was easier to collect them. If ever there was a time, it was then. You could do it. You could do it. And people hate it.
And like, man, you go on eBay, like no one's buying any of this stuff, Johnny.
No, I've got some cool stuff. And like, yeah, people just, even the horror games, like even horror games, like there was so many and people are just like, nah, I'm out on this. But if it was a big box game, these $25 games would be $200. No question.
Honestly, like 25, that's like, you're talking like new in box for $25. Yeah. And a lot of this stuff is available new. Look, you get an Unreal Tournament 2004, one of the best shooters ever, like a very widely beloved game. The first copy that I'm searching for on eBay is $40 brand new. Yeah, small box PC is crazy. You should, everyone should get into this. But no, it is. I'm not even into small box. Even I look at it and I'm like, man, it's just a small box.
You just know. The problem is you look at it and you know what was lost.
I do. I know that it's not my favorite era of games. It is kind of it's still the Brown era of games. It's a lot of action games, a lot of shooters.
Is a lot more ubiquitous.
This is a sealed Call of Duty 4 for $45. I'm literally just gonna buy this. This is so stupid. This is so cheap.
Don't do it. Stop it.
No, Call of Duty 4 rules. It looks pretty good. For $45, Call of Duty 4? I'm just going to buy this. I'm literally buying this right now. This is unacceptable.
This is why you're not allowed on Whatnot.
It's Call of Duty 4.
This is why you're not allowed on Whatnot.
Way cooler so cheap. And more important game than Modern Warfare 2. Get out of here. Call of Duty 4 is the game. My people know what's up.
I don't think people believe you. There you go. Anyways, tell me more.
I'm seeing what else
keep interjecting. You finished buying your game so we can get back to this episode now?
We got a sealed Half-Life for $275. It's a Game of the Year version, so I'm not going to buy it, but damn.
Still a pretty good deal.
No, it's got to cut UPC. Oh, man. Everything else he has is like complete bullshit. Oh, well, we're buying this Call of Duty 4. Good episode. Really? I'm a big fan of this episode.
Oh, good. Excellent. Yeah. You're like, yeah, shit. That episode? You mean the one where I got Call of Duty 4? Sick.
Johnny, so the other thing to know about the small box PC era is that, what are they called? Like Costco and Sam's Club, like these wholesale clubs, they have so much space that they continue to sell big box versions of small box PC games. And these are really collectible. and it can
Yeah,
be hard to spot in the photos, and almost the seller will never know what they have. These are so much rarer than the small box versions of games. And it's kind of almost it's not any game. It's a lot of the major games between like maybe 2003 to 2006 will have this weird big box version of a game that otherwise doesn't have a big box version. And these aren't like well documented. I don't think there's like a list of every single Sam's Club big box game, but you could find games like Far Cry and Doom 3. I'm trying to think of a few here. Call of Duty 1. Like these are major games, games that people really like. If there is a game you want in that kind of 3 or 4 year range, try finding a big box version of the small box game. The big box version, it always has like a Sam's Club sticker on it. It's very identifiable from a thumbnail, but that's a cool thing to look for.
The other way you can find big box games of small box PC games from this era is to look for other regions that may have had that game. Because while small box games became more ubiquitous here in the United States, other countries like China, Japan, they were still kind of putting out big box ones. Russia too. Sometimes those are bootlegs, though, so be careful. We're still putting out some big box games, so interesting when you find those.
No, don't do that. No. Don't go to another region to get a bigger, less convenient packaging.
No,
these Sam's Club releases are cool because they are US releases of games that are also rare and exciting. So a lot of the times what they are, it's just a big box with the full art on it, and then you open the big box and it's just a small box inside. It's so funny.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, don't be weak. Okay, don't give in to the small box militia. Big box mafia for life. Okay.
I don't know. The small box PC games are pretty good.
Okay.
Get a sealed Grand Theft Auto 3 for $112, Johnny. Go get that.
You're trying to talk it up, but you just looked at some small box games and were like,
I can't get excited over the games. They're just not. It's not my area of games. Like, Tribes Vengeance 2004. Like, yeah, I would much rather have Tribes, not Tribes Vengeance.
It's true. Yeah, a lot less original titles in this era.
Yeah, and it is also a lot of these are, they're all ported to consoles and stuff. So I associate BioShock as much with Xbox 360 as I do with PC, or a lot of this big box PC stuff. It's a lot of adventure games, it's a lot of FPS, it's a lot of strategy games. There's a lot of stuff that like is really highly associated with PC. Like you see Diablo 2, you see StarCraft, you see Half-Life, you think like this is PC gaming. You see BioShock, you're not like, oh man, this is the most PC game there ever has been. It's just like, okay, this is another version of BioShock.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's an Xbox 360 game, right? Yeah. For sure.
Johnny, there's a sealed small box Far Cry for $200. That's a game I was looking for in like that 2021 panic. I really wanted a Far Cry.
No, you're going to pick it up?
And not for $200. I'm not. I would spend $100 on it though. If someone wants to hit me up with a nice Far Cry for $100, sure. Sure.
Why don't you send them an offer just to be like, hey, you want $100 for this? Take it or leave it.
It's Press Start Entertainment. I think he's like a speculator guy, or like, a flipper. I don't think he's. Oh yeah. That's probably what he has into it. So he's gonna want to get more out of it.
Pass.
All right. Johnny, there's also this weird era, the now era of, man, the most dog shit. Like, I think there are some people who defend small box PC games, but modern PC collecting is in such a shambles right now. When I think it is kind of this universal platform that transcends generations, I think releasing a game for Microsoft Windows should be the easiest thing to do. Like, when I say that, I'm saying give us a Steam key, basically. But give us the files on a disk as well. But we get all these stupid releases like the Baldur's Gate 3 Collector's Edition, which is just a bunch of junk, and then they'll like email you a code separately, or the Divinity Original 2 Collector's Edition, which has the code in the box, but it's a stupid download code, and basically the entire box is a statue. And then you have limited run games putting out their releases, like, whatever, like they have 100 versions of Night Trap. One of those is a big box PC release of Night Trap. Who on earth is collecting the big box PC limited run games Night Trap? It's not part of any set. No one cares about PC rarity. So what? It's just like the most random, terrible thing, this modern era of PC collecting.
No, please go buy Night Trap on all the systems.
Already have. I've got the big box PC version of Night Trap, Johnny. I think it's the worst big box PC game I own. I don't think it doesn't have a manual. I actually know it doesn't have a manual. It might have like a tiny manual in the jewel case, but it is a big box, the limited run games, kind of smallish big box, a loose poster and a jewel case with no cardboard structure to hold the box together. That's the entire thing.
Well, I kind of hate that.
It's so bad.
Yuck, Tyler, yuck.
I have faith. I don't know if I should have faith. Once we get to the media apocalypse, when there's no more console games, we're on the precipice. It's going to happen. Give it 10 years. We're going to see a lot of retro re-releases, a lot of people putting out like NES cartridges and like PlayStation CDs, probably stuff like that. But we could keep releasing all these games on computers. Like, what if it's never gonna? I'm like, what if everything just gets released on PC from all these limited run companies, and just like it's this universal thing, and that we all agree on going forward? Like, well, we could just release anything on PC. There's no licensing fees. We could just put Steam keys and everything. I mean, I don't want there to be Steam keys, but that's like a very easy thing to do. I'm wishful thinking here. I'm trying to come up with a way to revive PC collecting. I don't see it happening.
I mean, it's basically the Steam Deck is basically it, right? Everything's just going to be Steam Deck, and you can just plug your Steam Deck in and play it on the TV or on your computer monitor or in your hands.
Well, in 10 years, they'll figure out a consoleized Steam. Like, they've had Steam machines, but they didn't really work. Steam Decks were so successful, Valve will eventually use their billions and billions of dollars figuring out how to make a consoleized PC. Because, I mean, like, what is an Xbox these days? It's a consoleized PC. And it will be a lot more, I think, the value proposition of linking into 50,000 games on Steam compared to 1,000 games on Xbox Series 1X 360 is like, that's a really great value proposition for Valve. Plus, they would continue they get 30% of the sales on all that shit. So I'm sure they're very hard at work doing it, and they will aim to have one in everyone's house in 10 years.
Yeah, well, I don't even think they need to consoleize it much more than it already is. Just get it a better dock and like controllers, and that's going to be it.
I'm sure they have their best men working on it, Johnny.
Top men. All right. What are the other eras of video games, Tyler? Or
I mean, those are the kind of things that are interesting to me.
What about the DVD? That's not small box. There's the DVD clamshell apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean, like, after small box PC, when they're really like, oh, we don't want to carry even these cardboard boxes, you just pick up some DVD cases. I mean, what is there to say about that? Like,
there's not. It's just that people have stopped caring about computer games at this point as a thing that like sells in a big store. They're just like convenience buys now. And even worse than that is the small paper and like jewel cases that just litter Targets and Walmart bins. It's just a different time. PC gaming has fallen from its throne and then revived once again when things become all digital. And I think that's kind of the lifespan of PC games.
Yeah. So like Steam came out in 2003, and obviously there was a period of transition and skepticism and people clinging onto their physical media. But literally by like 2010, everyone was just like, oh yeah, I'll just buy that on Steam. Like no one was buying physical media. Like there were some holdouts in like the late 2000s. And then after that, no one cared anymore. And like console people are going to whine, and in 10 years, no one's even going to think about it. They're just going to buy stuff straight from the Nintendo store and not even think about media anymore. They're going to forget all about how much they complained about physical media.
And then that physical media that did came out was all like budget, weird releases, stuff that they were trying to get moms who were still out there, you know, playing cookie clicker and stuff. They were trying to capture these people. The hidden object tenure of games, like all your Farmville people, there were these kinds of bargain bins that like make up the mass of media. And hey, you know what's cool about it? It's all based around horror or supernatural in some way. So, you know, they got a bunch of cool covers and the games are all just like a highlights book from 1985.
Johnny, I can think of 2 games from the DVD era worth owning. One is Portal 2, released in a plain DVD case. I don't even know if it has a manual in it, but it is a contender for what could be the best game of all time. Like, no one's going to complain if you say that's the best game of all time. And then there's the budget release of Braid, which is a very important indie game and a very good game, obviously.
Oh, who cares about Braid?
Sure, whatever. Let's get on to The Witness, which is obviously Jonathan Blow's masterpiece, his magnum opus.
Is Jonathan Blow a person people should know about?
Creator of Braid and The Witness, and nothing else.
Except a giant fucking ego and a temple to himself.
Biggest ego on the planet. Love him.
I hate when people are good at something and then let that overextend into their personality, and then you're just like, oh, this is the worst. I want to like you, but it's impossible.
It's like you know how you find like a lower view film criticism channel, and he's got like good film criticism, but he's so up his own ass about it that it's like, oh, I kind of hate you though. It's a little bit what Jonathan Blow is like.
Yeah, like he could have 1,000 good points, and it just would be impossible to listen to. But also, he kind of hates women, so that's cool.
You know, I don't even want to go into whatever you're talking about, but I remember you being correct about that, perhaps.
Yeah. Anyways, not a hero. Anyway, moving on. What are we talking about now? So we've given the eras. We've talked about the media. We've talked about the types. We've talked about all the things you can do. You know, we're in the download code era, the dead era of PC collecting. What do we do now? Now that we know about it, if we're going to collect it, what do we do?
All right, Johnny. So Tyler's convinced me. So Commodore 64 sounds cool. In Japan, like the NEC PC 8800 sounds cool. So I'm going to start collecting those sets. I'm just going to start making a list, going out, and I'm going to buy every Commodore 64 game.
Oh, so which Commodore 64 am I buying? Am I buying cassettes? Am I buying discs? Am I buying C16+4, Amiga? Like, what am I doing? How do I
Johnny,
make a list?
I'm going to say you need to leave your set collector mentality 100% at the door.
But how?
We have been talking about, if you're on forums and social media and stuff, but like you'll think about something like the NES set. Even if you're just on YouTube, you go, you search some NES videos on YouTube, and man, talk about something that's been discussed to death, the NES. I can't believe people even have podcast episodes that mention the NES. But virtually any game that comes up, except maybe Magic of Scheherazade, virtually any game, people know what that is. The Guardian Legend, a hidden gem. Like, there's going to be 100 videos where people are talking and reviewing and long playing the Guardian Legend because it's part of the NES set, therefore it has value. That is not how computer games work. If a game doesn't have any value in terms of historic or gameplay value, it has no value. If you find 20 NES games at a garage sale, kind of no matter what, that's kind of awesome. If you find 20 big box PC games at a garage sale, it might literally not be worth picking them up and bringing them home. It might just be like a literal waste of space.
Yeah, I told you how I donated like 2 or 3 carloads of like big box PC games once, right?
You probably wouldn't do that again, though. But yes.
No, but this was like, imagine it's like 2006. And they're not like all good games. It's just like, I mean, there may have been weird and obscure stuff, but it's like a lot of war games and stuff because there's so many computer games that come out. And I was just like, I can't can't keep all of this stuff, and no one wants to buy it. So it's just got to go away. So it did.
So you might pretend that you're quality over quantity, but in reality, you're also sneakily buying up all these good deals. You're getting into Josh Byerly's Whatnot streams, and you're buying Budokan for the Sega Genesis for $14. If you do that with any era or any type of PC games, go and look up somebody's Microsoft Flight Simulator collection. The entire Microsoft Flight Simulator series, including all the variants, additions, and add-ons, you could fill up a Billy bookcase with nothing but Flight Simulator. It's a problem. And like there are just like these dog shit genres, like flight simulators, like golf games, like EA Sports games, but now they take up 4 times as much space. There's a lot of dog shit on PC that you don't want.
You've convinced me. I want sets.
So, don't buy sets, Johnny. We're gonna talk about historically important games because that's my favorite thing. We're gonna find some at the end of this episode to have some ideas on where to start, but it doesn't have to be that.
So to summarize, we can't think about sets anymore. We need to focus, and we should focus on history, big name titles, and the things that excite us.
If you're everyone hates Blizzard now, but if you like Blizzard games, go for the Blizzard set. Sure. If you just like Nintendo, there are a bunch of Nintendo games that were released by Hudson for like the PC-88 and the FM7, games like Tennis and Excitebike. There are PC ports of NES games. And they have like Nintendo branding on them. It's cool stuff. You could get like little sets like that. I just don't think you should collect every computer game you possibly should. You really got to come up with a plan, come up with goals, and focus for this.
So I think what's interesting, so while consoles, especially, 10 years ago, were really focused on set collecting, publishers have always been the way. Like, people just collect publisher sets of games or approximation of publisher sets, one of each, where if the LucasArts collections, like, people aren't collecting full genres, which I think happens more in console games, but like so many LucasArts collections, so many Blizzard collections, you see these collections a lot.
And part of this is because there's no such thing as a big box PC game. They all have like their own unique sizes, but you line up all the LucasArts games on a shelf, you line up all the humongous entertainment games on a shelf, they're pretty uniform and they actually look like something. Whereas if you take a random number generator, pick 100 PC games on Moby Games, it's going to look like garbage on a shelf. It's going to be the least consistent shelf in your house. So that publisher sets do look really good on PC. Kind of the only thing that looks good on PC.
Yeah. A little bit. It's a problem. Don't love it.
Johnny, so we just talked about, again, 10 computers just from like the late 70s, early 80s. Which version should I collect? Because a lot of these have separate versions. A lot of the times they come in multi-packs. You'll find like the Commodore 64 version on one side of a disc and the Apple version on another side of the disc. Or, see the same thing in Japan. You'll see PC-88 and FM7 kind of on one cassette. But if they're all separate releases, which one do I buy?
Well, Can I interject something before we get into which one we should even buy? Because there's another thing you need to divorce yourself from.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's divorce.
Okay. The idea that you were buying these to play them. Like,
oh, that's it. Yeah. No, that's what I want to get into here. You're not playing these.
You weren't playing these. Okay. So best version, you need to really like understand that you're probably not playing this. And in fact, some of your media, like, you think bit rot is a problem on like PlayStation 1? You might be buying floppy disks that are just approximations of the thing they used to be. This used to house the code that went away sometime 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So, you are really just buying the physical object that represents the game rather than the game here. Okay,
you can rewrite magnetic media. That's fine.
Yes, you can. You absolutely you can. But I'm saying if you're like, well, there's a lot of brain rot in the people, right? They're like, you can't just rewrite that media, then it wouldn't be the same. You didn't, if it wasn't written from the original factory, then it's that, what are you doing? we would get these kind of questions if it was a console game. So I'm just saying, this is just something to be aware of when collecting PC games, that the absolute playability of it is like, you're not worrying about, not just from the media standpoint, but you think it's hard to be able to play an NES game? Do you know how hard it is to be able to go back and play any of these old computer games? It's not like you can just be like, well, I'll just slap it on my Windows system and it'll be fine. That's not really how this goes.
It's also not a good experience. So when I was a teenager, again, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be this authentic guy. I'm going to play all my Commodore 64 games. I'm not emulating them. I'm going to play them on my actual Commodore 64. And I'm going to be like, yeah, I'll just put up with load times because that's how it's authentic. And you get to your second Commodore 64 game you're playing like that, and you're sitting waiting 3 minutes. Just sit and do nothing for 3 minutes right now. Do we want to put a 3-minute silence in here to tell you how long 3 minutes to load a piece of shit Commodore 64 game is? Playing old computer games on original hardware is kind of not fun. And so, all right, let me put it this way too. If you were going to be into old computer hardware, which is a very separate, specific, and not the same hobby as video game collecting, you would probably already be into it. Or you have a notion that you're like an old computer guy who wants to waste a lot of time screwing around with IRQs on your old Windows computer.
That's part of your hobby. You enjoy figuring this out.
Yes. It's definitely not as easy as hooking a bunch of consoles up to... what's the hot thing that people hook their things up to?
FrameMeister?
The RGB. Yeah, it would be FrameMeister like 15 years ago, but what is it now?
I don't know. I'm too old for that.
Oh, goddamn. All right, whatever. Yeah, FrameMeister. It's not as easy as hooking up your consoles to a FrameMeister, and you're basically done. I thought I was going to get into old computers. I wanted to pretend that I was this purist. And so, man, I got it's really difficult because when you're building a computer, like a Commodore 64 is whatever, you just buy that and you're done. But if you're building a Windows computer, you can't get the best Windows 95 computer or the best Windows 98 computer because if you go too new in the hardware, older games start to break. So you can only get kind of the best computer for games in this 3-year period and the best computer for games in this 3-year period. And yes, you could play games outside of that, but it might not be the best way to play DOS games is the balls to the wall Windows 98 computer with all the greatest and latest stuff from the year 1999. So I did a lot of research on components, and I wanted to have a very fancy MIDI card, an MPU 401 connected to an MT32 MIDI, whatever it's called. It makes the bleeps and bloops. Very fancy. All this stuff is like hundreds of dollars. I designed it all. I learned how to put it together. I learned how to install it. And yeah, the first thing I played was Quake, and it ran at 35 frames a second. And I was playing with a trackball mouse on a shitty rubber dome keyboard from the era on my Creative speakers, because everyone had Creative speakers back then. And it was a dog shit experience, and I hated it because I love playing games at 400 frames a second now. It was not for me. I very quickly realized, old computers are not for me. This is for people who want a worse experience, a much worse experience to be more authentic. And now, you know what I love doing? I love loading up games in DOSBox. I love loading up games in ScumVM, just putting them on my regular gaming computer because everything just works. It's so easy, and I don't have to fuck with anything.
Yep.
And you want another reason not to buy an old computer. If you screw up a DirectX update, you install a version of DirectX that is too new for a game you're trying to play, the fix for that is to reinstall Windows. There is some crazy shit with old computers. If you are too young to remember what owning a computer in the 80s and 90s was like, it was hard. They came with hundreds of page manuals for a reason because computers were bullshit. Thank Apple for making iOS and dumbing this shit down for normies.
Yeah, I mean, kinda. It's become a lot. It's a lot different. It's not playing computer games is not just going on Steam back in the day. It's not going to be that.
So, Johnny,
anyways,
what I'm coming back around to on this is
version.
You're not playing these games, so don't get the best version of the game. I know. X68000, it's such a cool computer. It comes in these huge boxes. They're all very expensive and collectible. But like, if you're not playing it, just get the first release of that game. And unless you're going to become an X68000 collector, I would say just get the first release of a game, because that's going to be the most significant, to me, the most collectible in the long term, because the first will always be the first. And then if you want to play it, go download whatever version is the actual best to play.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty fair synopsis of what it is.
I screwed this up for a long time. I have a really big Commodore 64 collection, and it turns out like a lot of games were ported to Commodore 64, and I've had to rebuy a lot of my old PC game collection because now I want all the first releases, and a lot of those weren't on Commodore 64.
Have you considered just buying all the Apple IIc versions?
Yeah, go get a bunch of Apple games. For the games I'm interested in, yeah, a lot of the games came out first on Apple. Get all them Ultima games. It's good stuff.
Okay. What else do we want to know? Now we know what the media is like. We know what's going on. We know about the eras. We know which version to buy. What's next?
Oh, one thing, Johnny, we didn't say, you're going to have to research variants for each individual game you buy. And this is fun because there aren't going to be great sources. I think the best source is probably the Big Box PC Facebook group. I'm not in that because I don't have a Facebook group or a Facebook account anymore. But that seems to be like where most of the collecting activity was happening. I'm sure there's plenty on Instagram as well. But there aren't any hard and fast rules like you'll find on, say, the NES. There's no 5-screw turns into 3-screw. There's no circle seal turns into oval seal. Every publisher and pretty much every game has its own thing. So if you have something off the beaten path, if we're not talking like Half-Life or Myst or something that's like very popular, you might have to just go and find the most exciting release yourself. Yeah. Isn't that fun? That gives you a lot of stuff to go research yourself. Because sometimes with like NES, a lot of that research has really been done. Like, even if you're looking up something like inserts, you know in the back of your mind, like, I'm definitely duplicating work that someone else has already done, and I just haven't found the person to talk to about this. But if I'm looking up releases of 3D Dinosaur Adventure for PC, one of the first games I played in 2nd grade, like, yeah, I'm going to be the only one who's ever done research into which version of that to collect.
It's so good, too, because there's going to be different media types, there's so much nuance. It's quite a journey. While you're figuring out which is the original, then all the variants to find out which was published first, even though this is the original on this format. It's let's say the Apple IIc original, but there's like 5 variants too. So you got to then find the original of that variant, like which was the first variant. It's a good time. It's a really good time. Please enjoy.
Yeah, a lot of these were in print, especially the popular games were in print for years and years, millions of copies. There's so much nuance to find in something like Diablo 2 or Myst, just because they were on shelves for so long, let alone like all the promos that got released, all the different stickers got put in the packaging.
Hey, Day of the Tentacle, which is the first version of Day of the Tentacle? Let's go.
I mean, I'm going to guess that it's the triangle box, right?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. I think that came out after.
Oh, that's terrible. Who wants the triangle box then? Gross, disgusting.
I believe it was the Apple IIc, the Apple version. And then but it was in print for so long, you could still buy that and get the wrong one. So that's a lot of fun.
Just get Maniac Mansion, guys.
Which version?
Obviously the one that says the word lust on the back of the box, which got censored in later releases because Toys R Us refused to carry a game that said lust on the back of the box. Also, There's no lust in Maniac Mansion. What the fuck?
Look. Some tentacles appeared in Maniac Mansion as well. Just saying.
I mean, there's probably horrific deaths besides the hamster.
Maybe. There's some lusty stuff going on in that game. Maybe.
All right, sure.
Depends what you lust for, really. What? All right. Moving on. So again, a lot of different ports, a lot of different versions once you find the original. So like I said, we know what we're buying. We know its version. We're doing all this. Now, what else do we need to know? What else do we need to know about collecting computer games.
I was just brainstorming when writing up these show notes, Johnny. I wrote, what prevents people from buying PC games? Because even as much as I try to convince people that computer games are awesome, everyone is still going to listen to this episode. People have already tuned out. They're like, all right, yeah, I don't care about computer games. I collect Game Boy. Get out of here. This isn't Nintendo. Although I strategically tried to keep interest by mentioning those obscure NEC PC 88 Nintendo games. So Hudson released those Nintendo. So people are like thinking like, oh, there's Nintendo games on PC. Oh, there's Mario games on PC. Guys, come on, let's get interested in this.
Yeah.
But what's preventing people from buying computer games when they know that they're the best games?
Between everything we just said, how it's impossible, you have to do all of your own research, that you're not going to play them, you're not going to know which is the best version, that the media might be dead, that it's a huge pain in the ass, that there's no notes. Like, what do you mean that there was fewer versions? So, like, the only thing that is telling you to collect PC games is the price. Unless it's already popular, then they're expensive. What the convenient packaging size, basically everything that people like about PC collecting who are PC collectors is what's preventing normies from going into it.
But you did say the price is good.
Sometimes, unless you want the popular stuff, and then it's not good.
I don't know. The popular stuff is still cheap compared to consoles. If you put the Nintendo logo on any popular PC game, and you put it in the same market as something like N64 or Super Nintendo, it would be like 3 times the price immediately just because it says Nintendo.
But you're also getting people. The disparity used to not be as stark as it was. Okay, remember, because big box PCs had their value for a lot longer. Like, they just retained some value. So back in the day, you're like, oh, it's kind of expensive. It was like collecting the Saturn. Everything seemed a little expensive. Now it's just like whatever. And that's how I feel about Saturn prices now. Just whatever when you look at it compared to other consoles. But all the things we just said, all the problems, the size, the price, these people, if you're telling console people, you're like, well, I got to come in, and even if it's not crazy limiting expensive, you're like, I want all these games, but all the good games are like, there's no deals. It's like they're all $100 to $300 or $500 for all of them. Like, I just want to buy a few Indiana Jones games. Can you just help me out here? It's like
$300, $500. What games are you looking at? Games don't cost that much on PC.
If you want them nice, the PC boxes are also destroyed. Like, if you want them complete and you want the original versions and you're doing your work to get the best ones, yeah. And all the stupid packs that you got to get through, man, if you just wanted all the LucasArts games, you can probably get the LucasArts game volume packs 1 through 4 and be good. But it's all the stupidest releases of that game.
All right, LucasArts is like the Nintendo of PC.
Yes,
so that's why you're talking about these ridiculous prices. Because yes, Secret of Monkey Island is like a $200 game now. Maybe even $300 for a nice first print that includes all the inserts.
Tyler,
but that is a real exception compared to the grand scheme of PC collecting.
Tyler, you just said the thing? It's the Nintendo of computer collecting. So what you want to introduce people into is the thing that they should want to collect, right? So
I mean, if you're gonna start somewhere, go get Half-Life, go get Doom, definitely get Doom, and get The Secret of Monkey Island. Those are some great games.
Yeah, so introduce them to those ones. You're not gonna be like, well, here's 12 bullshit games. Go buy those because they're a good value. That's not what we're about. Go buy the good stuff. So go buy the Nintendo of PC collecting, which is your LucasArts games, your Blizzard stuff, your Sierra games. These are the easy ones to tell people to go buy. And it's still a pain in the ass. And now with shipping prices, good Lord.
They're all going to get crushed.
They're going to get crushed, and you're going to pay extra money to have them crushed. It's kind of the worst of all the worlds.
There's no complete in box the Neverhoods. I was just trying to think of something that's a little beloved and also a little rare to give another example of PC pricing. So the Neverhood, a little beloved, a little rare. There are no complete in box on eBay right now. I don't think. Maybe there's one that was super overpriced, a sealed one. But looking at the sold ones, they're $100. And like, this is like, how many NES games aren't on eBay at all, and you can get a complete box for $100?
Yeah, well, why don't you tell them about like Mystery House?
See, this is actually a good thing, I think. So, if you're listening to this show, you know about the console grails. You know what Nintendo World Championships is, stadium events, even just like high value regular games like Hagane, Little Samson, even NBA Elite 11. The games, if you don't currently collect PC games, you will probably never care about the PC grails. So we have talked about games like Mystery House, which is the first graphic adventure game. And it's like, I don't know, like $2,000 to $4,000 for a complete Mystery House. It's a Sierra game, very collectible company, Roberta Williams, very collectible developer. Not the most mainstream thing, Mystery House, though. When you think of the most expensive PC games, I'm thinking of stuff like Dungeon Campaign for the Apple II is probably like $3,000. How many people listening to this know what Dungeon Campaign is?
I don't know what that is.
It's like a proto RPG. It's like on the road to computer RPGs becoming a thing. Very rare, very obscure, very collectible publisher, Automated Simulations, but no one fucking cares about this. So you don't have to worry about it.
Color me in that camp.
Right?
Agreed.
Like, you just look at literally anyone listening to this who's not into PC games would look at a $2,000 PC game at a garage sale and they would completely not buy it. They would look over, they would be like, that is clearly not an interesting thing. And then you see, like, you see a Maniac Mansion or Secret of Monkey Island and be like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. That's a cool game. And you'd buy that instead. And those are the games that are cheaper on PC.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think there is a little bit of, this is especially since COVID. So there's this thing with collectors that we talk about having permission to collect things. And big box PC, especially common games, especially things like Secret of Monkey Island, have been very cheap, very undesirable for a long time, largely due to the fact that they're PC games. But now that like Secret of Monkey Island for a first print, you're looking at like $250 for one. Now all of a sudden it's exciting to have that on your shelf. And more people, I think, will want an exciting $250 Secret of Monkey Island on their shelf than people wanted a $40 Secret of Monkey Island on their shelf.
Yeah.
I don't, this isn't a good reason to buy stuff. Like, you shouldn't buy stuff because it's more expensive and therefore more collectible, but like, it's more of a like kind of top shelf thing to have now, some of the more classic PC games.
Yes.
Like, what's the one we always bring up? Cosmology of Kyoto. Very,
super cool.
Very popular top shelf game that a lot of people are always talking about. If you get all of your information from the Collector's Quest podcast. Or just get Half-Life 2, what do I know?
I don't know. That was such a good deal on Cosmology of Kyoto. I hope someone bought it.
Are you talking about the one that I bought?
No, the other one.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of Rusty. There was finally copies of Rusty. They were a good deal. I was like, I hope someone bought a copy of Rusty.
What? So, I'll get back to the notes I have. Like, explain your journey from I'm a Nintendo guy. I've got all these sets, and now like you know and collect a rare, exciting PC 98 game, Rusty, a Castlevania clone. Like, even if you're collecting horror, like, what is driving you to become this really obscure horror PC guy now?
Okay, so Rusty I knew about for a long time. We talked about Rusty long before I went this far down the rabbit hole, and been on my list for a while. Just because I love all the Castlevania games. Before I even went this deep in horror, I was like, oh man, Castlevania always reminds me of Halloween, so I'm always looking for this stuff. So, but Rusty is part of that journey, because as you look around for games like Rusty, you start to learn about other games. And then when I kind of went into this Halloween thing, there was a point, and I want to say maybe 2015, kind of 2016, we were doing episodes. It was when the podcast first started, doing episodes for Halloween, always, right? And I was like, man, there's not that many console games for me to talk about, especially retro games. So And the NES isn't like particularly good for them. There's like some, right? So I was like, oh, I got to branch out into like Japanese stuff or European stuff. And then I was just like, I feel too limited. There's not enough for me. There's not enough interesting things. There's a whole world of weirdos out there who have done these weird games. And where am I going to find them? And that's kind of where I went on the PC. So then it was just like, what is the weirdest stuff I've never, like, no one's ever heard of? Like, why for the Electron am I looking at this Dracula Island going, 1985 Electron Acorn game? That seems like something I should buy for 25 pounds. That's the one. That's what I should definitely be into. Do you know how many people care about that game, Tyler?
It's the guy who, Jace from retrogames.co.uk.
Yeah, he is the only, and he might not even care about that one. You know what I mean? Like, if I can't make that guy care about it when he's like rare, like we've only seen like one of these, like this is the stuff I want, not because like I think these are great games, but I want all the examples, the history of it. When someone says, oh, I've got some horror games, and they're like, yeah, check out my fucking Resident Evil games. I'm just like, that, you basic bitch, get out of here. I don't care about that. I mean, it's fine. Resident Evil's great. I'm not here to shit on Resident Evil. That's not the point. But there's so much out there. And like the minute your eyes open to that and you just say, I am not this one thing, right? Where it's like, well, I can only collect console games. I can go out and I can buy whatever I want. I'm unshackling myself. I like these Halloween games, and who cares where I get them from? I'm just going to go get them. And when you decide, well, I don't actually even need to display them all the time. If I'm buying them for the podcast and I'm going to talk about them on the podcast and I'm going to do a video of them, like I'm displaying them to the world. So that's kind of where the passion for this came from, where I decided to go hog wild and get into the complete weeds, where I didn't say, well, I want it all behind me and I need to see it every day. It was, I want to share it with people. I want people to see it. So I'm going to make dumb videos. I'm going to make 31 of them each month. You know, before it started with, I'm going to do like a crazy cool picture. I'm going to like try and do this stuff. Then it was just like, I'm just going to take a picture so someone knows about it. Then I'm like, okay, I can do 1 minute or 3 minute videos now. Now that's what I am. And that's kind of where I am. Each year I go further into it, where it's just like, I just want to show people stuff. I just want them to see these games that are out there and hear about them, even if they're complete and utter trash. That, you know, the only place to like really get into it and not just be like, well, I've got Resident Evil and Castlevania. I can show you 60 Castlevania games that I have, 60 different variants of it, and I love it. You've seen me do it, Tyler. I would love to talk more about it, but there's more than that. And that's kind of my point. And the only place to really get all of it is to venture down the rabbit hole that is PC games, because they've been making PC games for a long time. And all these like hobbyists who just made these weird games, they're going to be gone. That, like, if I don't buy this Dracula Island, which I've been wavering just because like buying stuff from the UK right now is kind of a pain in the ass. Like, who's going to buy it? When will we ever see it again? Who's ever going to talk about it? Anyone?
Yeah, no, it's no one. It's weird how many video games are completely lost to history. Not in terms of like that you'll never find a copy or it's not preserved.
It's just an interest.
But in the public conscience, just like no one is ever going to talk about this game ever again, huh?
Yeah. Hey, Psycho Killer. You ever heard about that? I'm not talking about the Talking Heads. It's weird to say talking about the Talking Heads, but that I'm not.
Oh, do you know what? Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Yeah. Do you know what Psycho Killer is for the Amiga CD?
I have. Oh, wait. No, I might have seen like a stupid YouTuber Amiga CD, or what is it? It's not Amiga CD. It's the.
It's Amiga CD. Amiga CD 32.
Yeah, CD32. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I've seen a YouTube video on that. But
okay. This is like a fairly popular one, but this is like on the outskirts of your knowledge, and it's a game that pops up, and was only in the UK, really. Not a lot of them. Who the hell has an Amiga CD32? No one. Like, we just talked about computer games, and this is the first time we're bringing up an Amiga CD32, right? Which is a weird thing to say.
That's not even a computer. Game. That's a console.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what I mean. No one gives a shit. No one cares about this game, really. We're going to have like 1 or 2 YouTube videos, and it's going to be people like me who are like talking about it. But again, Dracula Island on the Acorn? Come on, man. Like, there's so many games like this, so many weird Frankenstein text adventure games. I'm just like, someone's gonna buy them, and if they're not willing to make a video about it, then like, who is talking? It's just gone. I feel like the minute someone buys one of these out from under me, every time I just go, well, it's gone now. Gone, not just from me, but from everyone. Not that I think that many people are watching or listening to us, but it's just like, it's gone to time. Like, we may never hear or see about it again because I didn't have the funds at that time or whatever, or gumption to go buy it. It's just,
Johnny,
done.
this is kind of reminding me. This is a real tangent, but I do want to talk about games getting lost to time, because you're right, and I have felt this way very recently, and it was because I just played Riven, the sequel to Myst.
Oh yeah, I saw your videos you sent me. I love that you have got to experience Riven.
It's an extremely hard game. It's an extremely artistic game. It's an extremely
Tell people what Riven
game.
is for people who don't know.
It's a point-and-click adventure game. It dumps you on a series of islands.
Myst. It's Myst.
It's Myst, sure, yes. And it is... If you know what an armchair treasure hunt book is, it's a book that will be like a series of images with maybe like some poems next to the images. And you're supposed to figure out a series of riddles in the book, and it points you to treasure that has been buried somewhere actually in the real world. So the entire book is just one big puzzle that you have to figure out, and it's basically impossible because they only want one person eventually to go and find the treasure. The most famous book of this is Masquerade, if you've heard of it. If you haven't heard of it, I strongly encourage you to look up Masquerade. It's an extremely interesting book. But so it's an enigma of a game, and like super artistic. Like, a lot of the people talking to you are talking in their own language, no subtitles. It's like a completely made up language. It's like the most inaccessible thing. And I went and I read a bunch of 90s reviews for Riven, the sequel to Myst, and some people are like, it's basically more like a novel than a video game. This game is literally impossible to figure out. And people are like, yeah, it's just like a book. You just kind of read it. Or like, oh, it's just like a bunch of interesting images, I guess, strung together with like unrelated brain teasers. Or they'll have like these 90s attitude reviews that are like, man, Doom is awesome. You could spend your hard-earned cash on this, Jack, but do you really want to buy such a boring adventure video game? And like, could you imagine Parasite being reviewed by like computer and video game entertainment like this in like whenever Parasite came out? And how many like really, really good games are completely unknown because sites like IGN and GameStop or like EGM and like Next Generation gave them bad reviews because they are completely ahead of their time, and not enough people have gone back to like literally find those hidden gems. Because
Riven is a crazy game. It adds so much to the lore too. There's so many Myst games, but like Riven does a lot of work, and you know, it was very frustrating though. If you went right from Myst, which you could kind of get your way through, and then you found Riven, good luck.
I don't know. Is it the hardest game I've ever played? I'll talk about it more at the end of the show, Johnny. I just, it's an art house video game reviewed by children working at magazines who were comparing it to like Doom. And how many games are lost to history because of things like that? Because the curators, the people who should be telling us what is worthwhile, completely fail us on games like this. Even though, no, Riven is an extremely successful and popular game. I'm talking about, you know, what the games that are like this that didn't sell 4 million copies.
Yeah.
Like if Riven came out today, it would sell 20,000 copies. You'd have that one friend who never shuts up about it, but like no one would play this game. It's way too opaque.
On Steam, it would have 2 stars.
I don't think Steam has stars.
Now it might have good reviews. There might be of an indie revival. Is it on Steam? Did you check?
Yeah, I'm playing it on Steam.
Oh, you're playing it on Steam.
$2 right now in the Steam summer sale. I don't know. Maybe don't get Riven unless you are like an absolute masochist.
If you haven't watched any of the lore videos for Myst, go ahead and watch them. They're pretty interesting.
Yeah, I've also read that like the Myst novels are apparently really good. Like I think if you're going to get into Myst, like you just have to dedicate like a solid couple of years of your life to just doing this shit. Doing some Myst stuff.
It is a commitment. Anyways,
this is not for casuals.
Yeah. Myst, one of the biggest computer games ever, brought so many casuals into computer gaming, I can't even tell you.
It's not, this is what the reviews are like, oh yeah, this is great because it's such a simple interface that even non-gamers can play it. Even casual gamers can play Riven. In my experience of trying to figure out this game, I'm a seasoned gamer. I'm a seasoned adventure gamer. I've played the original Myst. It's the hardest game I've ever played in my fucking life.
Yeah.
What do you say? This is not a casual game. I have pages of notes. Obviously, I read a walkthrough. You can't beat this game without a walkthrough. I have pages of notes in addition to the walkthrough because it's so fucking hard. And there's only like 4 puzzles in the entire game. They're just extremely in-depth puzzles.
But that's Riven, not Myst.
Getting back to your point. So you collected horror games as a way to branch out into like this more obscure stuff that is well overlooked and not everybody has. You don't have it. To give an analogy there, it's almost like you've been collecting the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-rays and the Arrow Video Blu-rays and the Criterion Collection Blu-rays, kind of like the mainstream good stuff, the Nintendo, the Sega. And now you're branching out into VHS horror releases that no one has ever heard of. And that's kind of what PC is as a frontier sometimes.
In some cases, I feel like I'm collecting people who recorded movies from people who were making movies on like local broadcast channels and then making a tape of it. And that's what I'm trying to collect.
And that's exciting. I have an orienteering game for the ZX Spectrum that's like that, which is like this very kind of small, weird game about a very specific topic, just because I like orienteering, so I wanted to own the first orienteering video game. And like that is, if that was on PlayStation, like everyone would just kind of have it by default. There'd be like all these weird copies out there. It would be like something like Silent Service. Like whoever talks about submarine simulators, but everyone has Silent Service on NES because it's an NES game. So there's just a bunch of them kicking around. But, for stuff like that on PC, I mean, Silent Service is a bad example because that's a popular PC series. But yeah, like stuff like that on PC, you have to like kind of hunt down and you'll be the only one who has that kind of stuff.
Yep.
How do we feel about ports? And by ports, I mean PC versions of games that obviously aren't PC games. And so, man, the sealed guys will try to sell you on this garbage. But I'm talking like Street Fighter on PC, Mortal Kombat on PC, Final Fantasy VII, like very clearly console and arcade games ported to PC. I think these are dog shit. I'm like a complete
trash.
PC supremacist.
No, absolute and utter trash. Please stop it. Unless you really care about the series and it's fun to just have it in your collection, don't collect these.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's stuff with, like, major differences. Super Mario Bros. Special for the PC-88 and Sharp X1. That's a very different version of Super Mario Brothers. In fact, that's a completely different game. But Final Fantasy VII on the PC, yes, there are differences from the PlayStation version. I don't think you should speculate it on in the hopes that it will be like this equivalent thing to the PlayStation version because it's sealed. Oh, but the box display is so much better. That kind of stuff. I would only buy that if I was specifically interested in Final Fantasy VII. If I'm like the kind of Final Fantasy collector who needs to have everything.
Yeah. There's no other reason to do this to yourself.
But I think we'll disagree on games that have like these simultaneous releases and ports, games like I put down Tomb Raider and Call of Duty 4, where kind of depending on where you were exactly in 1996, you'll consider Tomb Raider a PC or a PlayStation game, or in some very strange cases, you'll consider it a
Sega
Saturn game.
Sega Saturn.
No one considers Tomb Raider a Saturn game.
Sega Saturn.
See, and this is interesting because we clash on this all the time. Like, to me, Tomb Raider is firmly a computer game. I don't even think about the PlayStation game. And to you, it's firmly a PlayStation
Total
game.
Dog shit. Do not even say it. It is, in the hearts and mind, the zeitgeist of the people. It's always going to be a PlayStation game.
Is it, though?
It is, yeah. See, what you have is what I have when I think about the Saturn. It's you've got the burden of too much knowledge, and it's clouding your view.
All right, I will very much accept that more people consider Tomb Raider a PlayStation game. I don't know. I don't have the sales numbers in front of me, but at this point, probably, considering like re-releases on like PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, on like PSN, more people have definitely played the PlayStation version of Tomb Raider, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
but then
I would say so.
When you think about like the concept of big box PC, I think that the Eidos Trapezoid releases are one of the most iconic big box PC games, and Tomb Raider is like one.
That would be a fine publisher set to buy. That's a fine publisher set to buy, but that doesn't. If you're just like, oh, I think I got to go get Tomb Raider, but if you're only buying Tomb Raider, nah, dog, no thanks.
All right. Well, I guess the point is don't fight about it. And there's no right answer.
No, you also don't have to think this hard about it. That's why I said we have the burden of too much knowledge. So every time somebody says to me, yeah, Tomb Raider's a PlayStation game, I'm like, well, like my brain, there's a little click in my brain that's like,
this guy doesn't know that it was released 2 weeks earlier in Europe on the Sega Saturn, so it's really a Sega Saturn game, but really all the versions were developed simultaneously by different teams.
Yeah. Like, I know there's some other guy who's like, well, actually, the code for the game was finished first on, like, and we'll never know. That's you don't need to think this hard about it.
Well, actually, no one fucking played Tomb Raider on the Sega Saturn. Shut up.
Yeah, which is why I say it's a PlayStation game, because where did they play it? They played it on the PlayStation.
But the best version would be on the PC, so that's the version, Johnny.
I mean, maybe it is. That's not always true.
That is
especially recent releases,
true, especially in the 90s.
Well, if we talk about now, like what happens with PC games, like broken and buggy, and like, yeah, that happens in console games, but a lot of times it's even worse on PC games, and they like never get to fixing it right. Yeah, it's just horrific. Anyways.
I think Dark Souls, the original release of Dark Souls on PC was like super busted, and like they didn't fully fix it, and they just released Dark Souls remastered for $40, and they're like, yeah, just buy it again. Now we got the good version.
Yeah,
that's not. All right, I'm not gonna.
Don't worry about it.
PC stuff. But.
It's like, it's fine if you just own this one. It's okay. That's okay. Like what? What just happened to us?
All right, Johnny, since I do want to talk about specific games, because I wanted this to be a sort of so you want to collect, even though it's not really, but I do want to go over things that I like, which are historical games. And I want to point out that PC is the best, and you should buy PC games.
Oh, okay. Let's do it. Which one should we buy?
It's going to go through every genre. I just picked a few genres. I don't know.
Okay.
MMOs, Johnny. What's the most important MMO?
You're probably going to say something stupid, but it's WoW.
Yeah, it's World of Warcraft. It's definitely World of Warcraft. Oh, what's even second place on MMOs?
Probably, EverQuest.
Probably. I mean, there's so many. There's Meridian 5-9. I don't know.
No, there isn't, Tyler. No,
Ultima Online, though?
Ultima Online, I think you could make a case for. Just about everything else is a no.
And then Neverwinter Nights. And I'm bringing this up because it's the first graphical MMO. So the first MMO is hard to define. Probably most people will trace the roots of MMO back to MUD, Multi-User Dungeon, which is obviously not something you could physically own. And there is probably something you could physically own before Neverwinter Nights. But the original Neverwinter Nights, not the 2002 game, I think it was 1990, is this America Online version of Neverwinter Nights. It comes in a gold box, like those early SSI games, and it's like $1,000. Actually, I think Kanakis just bought one, and he got a good deal on it. I think it was pretty well under $1,000.
Which is crazy.
I'm a big fan of this game. I have never played it. I don't know anything about it. I just know it's the first graphical MMO, and it's called Neverwinter Nights, and I love the 2002 game of Neverwinter Nights, and that makes this awesome.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, MMOs are going to be a PC genre. So, Johnny, adventure games. Oh, I'm going with another genre that's so clearly PC. You can't even get me on this because adventure games were born on mainframes.
Okay. Text adventures. Here we come.
So Colossal Cave Adventure is the most iconic, significant early text adventure.
Hold on, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Has anyone talked more about Colossal Cave than you in the world?
Yes, Roberta Williams.
I mean, besides that, you love to bring up this game. I'm just saying.
It's an important game.
I didn't say it's not important.
I think that snooty little video game historians on YouTube probably bring up Colossal Cave Adventure.
You aren't one of those people? You aren't a snooty video game historian?
I am absolutely. I will never call myself a video game historian. If you read other people's sources, like if I read history books and don't do any of my own research, if I'm not the guy like interviewing significant people in the industry, I'm not a historian. All these people are still alive. A lot of them are very accessible. These aren't like multi-millionaires. It's not like going and interviewing Mark Zuckerberg or something. Like, you could go get an interview with Roberta Williams if you want to and do some video game historianism, some actual journalism. If you're making a YouTube video based on a Wikipedia article, you are not a historian.
Correct. That is the correct answer, Tyler. Thank you for explaining to the people. And these are all the same people who are starting museums.
Absolutely, yes. But you can look at a Wikipedia article, because those Wikipedia editors are getting a little pretty good. And you could decide some cool historical video games to buy based on them.
Yes, I agree. All
right. So adventure games, Johnny. So Colossal Cave Adventure, a mainframe game. That's the first major adventure game. But there is a physical version of that. There's a lot of physical versions of Colossal Cave Adventure. The first one, I think, is Microsoft Adventure, which is also the first IBM PC game, the first physical IBM PC game. It's really cool. It comes in a gray folio. It's cool that it's the first IBM PC game, and it's also a port of a very significant adventure game. There's also, I wanted to mention, the original Zork was a mainframe game, and it was sold commercially directly to universities. I forget which, it was like a PDP 11 or something. And they would have to mail order it, and they would get this gigantic floppy. I think it's like an 8 or 9 inch floppy disk for these old mainframes, and a manual. And it sold like 100 copies, and 0 copies of that floppy disk are known to exist. And there is one surviving manual, I think. So that is probably like the grail, real earliest historical artifact you can own of adventure computer gaming history. But for the rest of us, we're going to get Microsoft Adventure. We're going to get Zork, Mystery House, and King's Quest.
Good ones to get. I agree.
Oh man, I put point and click adventure as its own genre. That's a real. I'm really milking up this PC genre stuff. Johnny.
I think point and click is a lot different than just straight up text adventure games.
All right, great. Well, I
actually don't even think it's close.
Well, we can thank Steve Jobs in 1984 for giving us the Apple Macintosh, Johnny, with its wonderful point-and-click interface, widely regarded as one of the greatest gaming platforms of all time, the original Macintosh. There are actually a bunch of significant very few, but significant original releases that came out on Macintosh, like the original version of SimCity, one of the first releases was on Macintosh. Okay. But if you want the first point-and-click adventure game, Johnny, you can get Enchanted Scepters and Deja Vu for the Macintosh. And you like Deja Vu.
I do like Deja Vu.
I don't like Deja Vu, but you like Deja Vu.
I do. We played it together.
And Enchanted Scepters has come up on this podcast before, and the only reason I even recognize the name is because we must have mentioned it for this exact reason of like, oh, and by the way, you can go get this game no one's ever heard of. It's the first point-and-click adventure game. In reality, you're going to get Myst or Secret of Monkey Island, the games that people actually care about.
Yeah, and those are both great ones to get.
Johnny, first-person shooter. All right, this is a little bit cheating.
Hold on. Oh, this is the only point-and-click games that matter. You're just going to hold on.
I really want to focus on the first, like how PC is going to be the first in all these genres. Unless you can come up with a better one, but
no, I
was going to give up like if you don't want to get the first, you can go get the obvious stuff.
I was going to say, but like it feels like you're like the obvious stuff, and then you didn't give very many of the obvious ones. You just like, well, here's like 2. You're like, this is them.
All right, what do you got for me? We should give more collecting info on this stuff because this is actually ownable as well.
Yeah, Well, hold on. Let me think. I mean, there's all the Monkey Island games. There's the Indiana Jones, The Fate of Atlantis, Maniac Mansion, which talked about Grim Fandango, Day of the Tentacle.
Okay, so all the LucasArts games, got it.
Yeah. Well, that's true, right? And that's one of the things they were known for. And like, you could go modern, you could go like Thimbleweed Park and stuff, which is
do not get Thimbleweed Park, or at least. Oh wait, I'm thinking of Broken Age. I did not like Broken Age. I haven't played Thimbleweed Park.
You could get like Gabriel Knight, right?
Gabriel Knight 2.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of all the good point and click adventure games. There's so many.
While you're thinking, Johnny, I will expand upon
help
on my Myst and Secret of Monkey Island. The original print of Myst was for the Macintosh, and you can identify it because it has a film strip in the top left or right. I forget which one. So it's got a film strip on it that says "The Making of Myst," and that one came out before any PC release. And I have pointed this out a couple times in the Discord. Like, man, you can get these for $25. There's going to be 100 copies of Myst on eBay at any given time. Sometimes there are none of the first prints. Sometimes there's like one or two, and they cost nothing. A sealed one would be very expensive. I haven't seen a sealed one. I'm sure people have them. But yeah, go get a first print Myst. And Secret of Monkey Island, you want the version, it has a beige box in the bottom left telling you the platforms, and it says IBM in really big letters. That's the first print of Secret of Monkey Island.
Okay, so other games you could get, Tyler. The Neverhood. Remember we were just talking about the Neverhood?
Yeah. That's a killer game. It's a crazy good game. Sanitarium,
which you can get. It does have a big box one. There's also ones that are just released in the jewel case, so be careful when you're buying that one. What else? I mean, Loom. Again, it feels bad that there's so many LucasArts games, like all the Sam and Max games. You know, I'm not a big Broken Sword guy. I don't know how you felt about that.
It's one of I've never played Broken Sword, but it's one of these series. There's like 6 Broken Sword games. You constantly see them remastered and bundled on Steam, and I just don't know who is playing the Broken Sword games. I mean, they must be good, but
they must be.
I don't know who's playing them.
There's multiple Monkey Island games too. There's so many horror point and click games too. I mean, there was just at a time point and clicks was just like the most, dominant thing you could get. Like all the dumb. There's a bunch of like the Sorcerer School games you can get. There's a lot of dumb stuff. There's a lot of point and click. Anyways, I just, just limiting to 2 just felt weird. It's like such a staple.
I mean, it's a staple of the 90s. Like, no one plays point and click adventure games anymore.
I love point and click adventures. I also have a soft spot for point and click adventures.
I know. You said it was one of your favorite genres.
It still is.
On a recent episode. Still your favorite genre.
I mean, when you came over, what did we play?
We played Beyond Shadowgate. You know what? Pretty good for a point and click in that we just like slammed through that game Beyond Shadowgate.
Yeah.
If we booted up Riven, nothing would have happened. We would have just sat there for five hours, made some maps, and solved 0 puzzles.
We also played Deja Vu.
What? No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. We played Uninvited. Sorry, the other one.
Yeah. Oh, right. We played all of Uninvited. I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, it was not great. All the items we picked up. So many items that were pointless. All right. Anyways, we can move on. FPSs. Tell me about which FPSs we should buy and why they aren't Call of Duty.
You see, I think this is probably whether you consider the FPS genre like before and after 2000, because like obviously with the Xbox 360, even the Xbox like FPSs, and like Halo moved a lot more towards consoles.
GoldenEye, where FPSs started.
See, this is when you're getting like the first physically ownable FPS. I mean, really, you should just get Wolfenstein 3D or Doom. There are kind of.
We shouldn't have GoldenEye on the N64. Is this not one of the most important? I mean, are you going to say it's not one of the most important FPSs?
This is what you console brain people think. They're like, there are these people.
I didn't ask that.
Gen Z people are like, man, one of the FPS really started. GoldenEye and Halo are the first FPS games. How cool is that?
Are they important to own? Do they matter historically?
Which?
Both of them.
What, GoldenEye and Halo?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
There
They're
we
like some of the
go.
most important games ever.
That's what I'm saying. You're like, no, it doesn't start there. I mean, it doesn't matter if it really started there. They are still very historically important. We should bring them up. Anyways, but what is the first one that we can physically own besides Phantom Slayer?
Is there one earlier than Phantom Slayer? I think Phantom Slayer was 1982. So this is a weird genre. I'm fascinated with the history of first-person shooters and 3D games in general because there are so many games that have a first-person perspective. It might not be real-time 3D, but it has a first-person perspective, and you shoot things. You know, one of the earliest games is Battlezone in arcades, where you're a tank. It's first-person, and you shoot things. That is in the lineage of what we consider first-person shooters now. There are games even earlier than that, like turn-based, almost wizardry-style games that were on like the Play-Doh network. So kind of this Phantom Slayer, this is like this weird kind of middle thing that you could own is Phantom Slayer for the TRS-80 or the Dragon 32. But the actual first-person shooter is Maze or Maze War, which was a mainframe game. And so this mainframe game has a lineage that leads up through MIDI Maze, which is an Atari ST game. It's a version of that original mainframe game. And then that was ported to Game Boy with like Faceball 2000. That's the same game. And then there's this game, it goes on to like Macintosh. It's called Super Maze Wars. And this isn't like an actual intellectual property. It's kind of like this spiritual successor type thing where like it's basically the same game, but we're just going to release it because who's going to sue us? I assume that's what happened because...
Yeah.
So I think MIDI Maze is an interesting game because it is a first-person shooter, a multiplayer first-person shooter for the Atari ST that is based on the first-person shooter, which is Maze War. And it's pretty rare, which makes it kind of exciting and collectible.
Okay. It's also weird that it became Faceball. The Faceball games are so... It's weird to think about.
Wait, what?
It's weird that the Maze Wars games were just the Faceball games. Like it's weird for me to think about that.
Yeah. Maze War is like a historical artifact. Maze War is super cool. And that's what MIDI Maze is. It's like it's shooting smiley faces. It's all it is. It's the same game. It's so good.
The reband, that was crazy.
Just get Doom. Doom, kind of one of these forever top 10 games you could possibly own games for me because 1 is Doom, 2 it's so historically important, and 3 it was only released via mail order. Up until the Ultimate Doom, which is the big box version of Doom, which fuck the Ultimate Doom, no one wants that. The original Doom was only released via mail order. That's like if the original fucking Super Mario Brothers was only released via mail order. It is gettable, but they're pretty expensive. They're not super common, so it's always going to be the top.
Unless it was mailed to Canada, then don't get it.
There was yes, Johnny is referencing there was a copy of Doom that came in the original shipping box with an invoice. Like, man, this is one of the best things I think you could possibly own. It had about an $1,000 premium over what it would cost just complete in box, and the shipping box was to Canada. I probably would have paid the $1,000 if it was to California or something.
This is such a crazy take, but yeah, all right.
I don't want to. Every time I look at that, I'm going to be like, over here. It wasn't even like real Canada. It was French Canada. It was like in Quebec. God, I don't want to think about Quebec. This would be like a top shelf thing in my collection forever. A shipping box to the original Doom. How fucking crazy is that? And I have to look at like, oh, it's Quebec. It's got like French text on the box. Like, I don't want to think about that. Canada, I'm okay with you, but like you're French East Coast. Like, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Hey, real Canadians who listen to the show, Tiger Wolf, hey, let us know. How y'all feeling about Quebec? And is this a hot take from Tyler? Is this insane, or how are you guys feeling about it?
Is Quebec like the Mississippi? Like everyone in America hates Mississippi, right?
No, everybody in America hates California.
We all hate California. Oh yeah, that's more apt. You're kind of like a coastal, different cultured thing going on.
Yeah, well, it's like, we hate California. Wish we could get rid of it. And it's like, we're like the 6th largest economy in the world, and we pay so many taxes and prop up so many other states. You kind of need us, actually. The tax differential between California and like what we pay versus what we get out of the government is so huge. As much as you hate us, you need us. Sorry. That's me being Canadian about it.
There's probably plenty of Quebecers that want to be an independent country, and plenty of people in the rest of Canada who are like, get out of my country so we stop having
Quebec
to have these political speeches half in French. I hate this.
I mean, and all the Nintendo boxes and video game boxes that are forever
right, and then you guys can have your own Quebec releases, and we'll just ignore them because they're entirely French, rather than this crap where we have to suddenly see some games come up in our eBay feeds that are half French.
Yep. You can take your maple syrup and your French language and get the fuck out. Go drink some bagged milk, and pour one out over your craft dinners. Thanks. Did we say anything else? Any other stereotypes we can launch at them while they enjoy some hockey? All right. Have we offended all the Canadians yet?
They can't be offended.
Okay.
All right. Johnny, simulation games. A genre I would almost entirely associate with PC. Specifically like city builders and things like that. You think of SimCity, which is the most significant game in its own genre. Yes, the Super Nintendo version is also super good. The original releases of SimCity were for the Commodore 64 and the Apple Macintosh, and they have Godzilla front and center on the box.
Pretty cool.
Later releases switched that out with a tornado to keep it a disaster and not probably get sued by Toho or whatever.
Or make it seem just a little more real.
So lazy people will say that the Godzilla box is the first release of the game, but there were a few variants of that Godzilla box. So you want the Commodore 64 1.0 version, the manual and the disc will say version 1.0, and the back of the box has screenshots from the Macintosh version on the first print. So the Macintosh version is black and white, so you want to find a SimCity with black and white screenshots on the back. Only one of the screenshots is going to be black and white. But they want to show you that you could play this game without beautiful color if you really wanted to.
Excellent.
Now, Johnny, I wanted to say that my point of this genre thing was that I want to show you that PC is always going to be, not even PC, just computers are going to be like the first in every genre. The most significant early city building simulation game is Utopia for the Intellivision. This is a crazy case where I think that the console version is like maybe not the most significant, but the most significant early entry in the genre. And man, if PC collecting is like this weird black sheep, Intellivision collecting is like on Pluto after it has ceased to be a planet. Because who the fuck is collecting Utopia for the Intellivision for its significance as a city building game?
You.
I've got my sealed copy right there. It's 6 feet from me.
Yep. There it is.
That's awesome.
It's a weird thing.
Johnny, life simulation. I think the first one that matters is Little Computer People, which is it's a 2D The Sims if you only had one sim, which was a very novel thing to have in like 1985. It was like on the Commodore 64 or the Apple II. I don't remember which version was first. It comes in like a folder. It doesn't even come in a box. So I said like the first boxes started showing up in like 1980, 1981, but a lot of games throughout the 80s still were not uniformly in boxes. This one comes in a folder because it's crazy.
So is this this isn't like referencing like the toy Little People, right?
It is not. It is just Little Computer People. This is a David Crane game.
Okay.
Guys, by the way, David Crane, really important person. And if you were a video game historian, maybe you would go and interview him. Extremely accessible guy, shows up to game conventions at least once a year, always in panels, always doing signings. No one shows up to his signings. Why are you not? Oh, we were just at a Midwest Gaming Classic. Oh my God. It was like, David Crane, Gary Kitchen, and Dan Kitchen. We're sitting at a booth in like this huge vendor hall with people swarming around everywhere. No one at their booth.
So, question, why would I get this guy, whoever he is, whatever he made signature, when I could just like go get like Angry Video Game Nerd signature?
I was going to say like Pat the NES Punk is probably signing his books, dude.
Okay. It is... YouTube has made us like YouTubers make videos about these people, but we don't prioritize the people the videos are about. We prioritize the people who make the videos, and I think we have the tail wagging the dog, and it's upsetting.
I love David Crane so much. He's such a cool guy.
Dude made Pitfall. What do you want from me?
He made Pitfall and Kaboom, the best Atari game, and Dragster, another one of my favorite Atari games, and Little Computer People. Apparently, he did the programming on Night Trap. What a significant game that was, too.
Yeah. All right.
Johnny, the life sim game that actually matters is The Sims.
The Sims.
I don't know if you've heard of that one.
Often touted as the best-selling video game of all time.
There's no way it's the best-selling video game of all time.
They do say that, though, and I'm sure it's because they just look. Here's the fun thing about statistics: they can be abused, and you can just be like, "Well, The Sims sold X amount of copies, and we have like 10 different games in the Sims franchise. And if we look at the Xbox sales and we look at the computer sales, and we just stack those all together, we can say no game has ever sold more than this, even though we are not stacking the sales of those games in this fashion, that we did for this." Well, you can just kind of make stuff up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know what all the metrics behind it are, but it is sometimes touted as the best-selling game of all time.
And like you'll see like statistics like Super Mario Brothers sold like 48 million copies or whatever, and it's counting half of that is Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt carts, and it's like, okay, you're kind of fudging the numbers there. Or my favorite is when they'll combine like Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow into a single game, which like yes, kind of, but also if we're talking about statistics, no, that doesn't count.
Yeah. Anyways, I mean, it's however they count. I'm a fan of like, you can count however you want as long as you tell me how you're counting so I can accurately compare it to things. And as long as you keep your comparisons in the same vein. It's when they start doing these mixed comparisons that fall apart for me.
Okay. Vibe check here. Wikipedia, and I'm sure this is sourced from somewhere, it lists The Sims as selling 70 million copies. Like, just vibes on like if I search for The Sims versus I search for any other popular PC game, 70 million copies. That is, we are getting some of those copies are not like physical PC copies that have sold in a store. The Sims is estimated to have sold 70 million worldwide. It says 41 million across the original game and its expansions. There's a lot of like we're dividing that by like an order of magnitude at that point.
I told you, I've looked into this stupid thing on The Sims before,
shit.
And why do you think I had specific examples of why I don't like their counting?
Living large, house party, hot date, vacation, unleashed, superstar, making magic. You cannot count all these sales as The Sims.
You can, especially when they have independent SKUs and they're sold on computers and the Xbox.
Cool game. You should own The Sims. It is a game. A lot of these kind of firsty ones that people have actually played is a game I've seen the PC speculator guys who are really hoping this becomes a thing. Try to find like first print sealed Sims.
Now the best selling game of all time has to be like Minecraft, right? Like, cause kind of.
I think in terms of like actual sales, in terms of like plays, it's like the Honor of Kings in like China. There's like these free to play games, like in terms of money that they make are just ridiculous. Roblox might like eclipse the entire video game industry. I don't know.
Mario Kart 8 is going to be listed as one of the best selling games of all time too. So is Wii Sports because it was just packed in with the Wii. Again, don't know how much I want to count that. You want to know a game they call as one of the best-selling games of all time, and you can tell me if you agree with this or not. Ark Survival Evolved.
I'm looking at this list. That is the fourth best-selling game of all time, according to Wikipedia.
Nope.
Where is that coming from? That's crazy.
Do you even know what this game is?
It's just like a dinosaur survival game.
The fourth best-selling game of all time.
It's got it. Like, what is it? Like a mobile version that's doing these numbers or something?
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
I don't like. You can't. you can't have a conversation with a person off the street about Ark, probably. Like, you probably know someone who had an Ark phase, but...
No, you don't.
You probably know someone.
Only because I have a Discord full of people that I could probably talk to, but...
I wanna look into this.
This is
in
like
early access, it sold 1 million. By August 2016, it sold 5 million across Windows and Xbox. So hold on, it was by 2016. When did this game come out? Oh, that was in this early access phase. It wasn't even out.
It came out in August of 2017.
Sold over 76 million copies. That's so many copies.
The figure I'm looking at is 79 million.
Yeah. What? Let's move this to After Dark. This is bullshit.
Yeah. So the only combo stat I'm going to say probably holds up for me is Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U and the Switch, because only like 7 copies sold on the Wii U. So I think this number holds up.
Johnny, let's finish this episode.
Okay.
JRPGs. You probably think of Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. You absolute buffoon. I'm a video game historian.
No, I'm American, so I think of Dragon Warrior. Okay?
That's not a JRPG. That's an American RPG now. It's Dragon Warrior. It's American by default. So.
It's a Western RPG? Thank God.
Yeah.
I'll like his Western RPGs. Go on.
The entire JRPG genre was born from Ultima and Wizardry. And so this is, again, one of the things I'm most interested in. I'm not even like a JRPG super fan. Like, I've never played like Persona 5, and that's like considered one of the greatest JRPGs ever. But there's this phase where JRPGs become like these weird adventure games with statistics, and some have like tactical battles, and it slowly morphs into straight up Dragon Quest. And there isn't a point in time where you could really pinpoint like, this is a JRPG as compared to like, this is a weird text adventure that I guess has some kind of statistics that you could technically call an RPG in certain situations, which means there's a bunch of cool stuff you could buy, like Panorama Toe and Wizard and Princess and Mugen no Shinzo 2, and Hydlide and Dragon Slayer.
Okay.
Cool.
And when did these come out versus Ultima?
So these are, this era is like 1982 to 1984 is kind of the birth of JRPGs, and then Wizardry and Ultima came out in 1980, 1981.
Okay, so we have a list of JRPGs, but where are RPGs? Where we can talk about the historical actual firsts.
So I didn't even put that here. So I put, computer RPGs. I just put Wizardry, Ultima, and Ultima Underworld.
Okay.
But I mean,
let's talk
because
about first
our
things
RPGs
first
go again back to the Plato Network, educational mainframes. It's kind of hard to pinpoint.
As someone who loves to get into historical first, you sure went right into the subgenre.
Of what?
JRPGs.
I'd probably put this list of genres in like what I typed in list of video game genres and just started like typing them down. There's no order to this.
Nonsense. Anyways,
if you want to collect early RPGs, let's hang out. Send me a message, and also buy that JRPG book. What is it called? Is it called The JRPG Book? Oh, it's so good.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of nuance to early. It's the guide to Japanese role playing games. There's a lot of nuance to this early stuff. It's not like there's no key games. They're kind of all key games, and none of them are key games. It's so cool. It's such a nebulous genre.
So I only make fun of Tyler because he does love early RPGs. So the fact that he didn't bring these up first was kind of funny to me. He has suffered for this love.
Have I suffered?
Yeah, you played stupid Wizardry.
Oh, Wizardry was so much better than I thought, especially Wizardry 2. Oh, man. Ultima kind of fucked the early Ultima games.
Ultima, blah. Anyways.
But then Ultima Underworld, oh my god, it's so modern, it's ridiculous.
But Ultima, people don't understand how good, how modern and good stupid games like Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior and Dragon Quest were compared to these early RPGs, even on the consoles like Nintendo. Like, you have no perspective for how much they did to make these games more playable. Just to, like, convenience factor, just giving you the ability to play these games without it being absolute bullshit.
So this is literally an aspect of RPGs that I'm interested in. So Mugen no Shinzo 2. Probably most people listening to this have not heard of Mugen no Shinzo 2. The reason is significant is that it took this kind of bullshit, you type in your commands like a text adventure style of computer games, and it translated the interface to basically Dragon Quest. You have like arrow keys, accept and cancel. And that was like such a revelation that was important enough that it's considered one of like these really historic landmark JRPGs, even though like you've never heard of Mugen no Shinzo 2, and then what's born out of that is Dragon Quest, which is a little bit more popular.
A little bit.
So yeah, the accessibility stuff. That's cool.
Dude, just, quality of life improvements that happened, like, yeah, underrated. Underrated how many things happen. Anyways.
Johnny, the first roguelike was Rogue.
Oh, weird. You mean games like Rogue?
Don't name your genre something like. That's bad. That's like if we still called FPSs Doom clones. You are bad. Rename your genre. Roguelike is a bad name. There is still time. Video games are a young medium. There is no reason we need to stick with Metroidvania and roguelike. We can fix this. I have no idea what we would call roguelikes if they weren't called roguelikes, but stop it.
I think some people don't understand that roguelike is two different words jammed together.
What?
They're like,
oh, I guess people don't really think about Rogue, the video game. Yeah.
No, they don't. They don't understand that it is saying this is a game like Rogue, the game. They are so divorced from this as an idea, or like have no concept of it. I'm telling you, people don't understand that roguelike means game like the game Rogue, which is crazy.
It's very similar to the MMORPG term mobs, which is short for mobiles. That's born from like mud from like the 70s. Like, oh wow, this is a mobile object. We got to shorten that down to mob, and now it's just, wow, they're just mobs. It's a mob of people, I guess.
Hit us up on the Discord or on social media if you didn't know roguelike was actually talking about games like Rogue.
And if you didn't know that Metroidvania was talking about games like Super Metroid and Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Well, Metroid is such a specific word that you can see it, but roguelike is not. Anyways, go on.
The first release of Rogue has a stark red cover. So Rogue, I think any release is like a little bit uncommon and collectible, but the first release has a red cover and is very rare and collectible. And cool. I don't have it. Yeah, I'm looking at, there's some nice copies of Rogue in like the $300 range, and man, do I want an original release of Rogue, and I have not found one. It's probably because my save search is messed up because it's too generic of a term.
Thanks, eBay.
Johnny, stealth games. I guess this is a genre.
Is Rogue a stealth game?
I don't think so. I mean, you're kind of creeping around enemies. I'm going to say no, Rogue is categorically not a stealth game. If you have to list out like what makes up a stealth game, I would bet that Rogue does not fit that criteria.
I was just trying to make a joke that all stealth games were roguelikes, so we should just start calling them all roguelikes. Sorry.
So we're talking about Manbiki Shonen for the PET 2001. Was Kanakis way into this? Or who was way into the Commodore
It's my pet computer.
Shut up, Johnny.
I'm sorry.
There's a game called Shoplifting Boy for the Commodore PET that is considered the first stealth game. I want some more research into this. This is kind of a weird nebulous genre where like I bet we could find a text adventure or something that's really the first stealth game.
Yeah, I prefer some of the clones of this, like Shoplifting Girl, but that's just me.
Okay. You don't know. There's probably one, and it probably has like porn aspects to it, Johnny.
Is it on the PET 2001? You know there is.
Johnny, the actual games that matter in this genre are probably Metal Gear on the MSX, which is a computer, still counts. We're talking about, here's another game where, like, if you don't collect computer games, you're just a PlayStation guy, go get Metal Gear for MSX, the original Metal Gear. That's a cool and exciting game.
PlayStation. You mean an NES guy? What are you talking about?
Whatever. I'm talking about, like, Metal Gear Solid people. Johnny, most people who are probably like half the people who listen to this podcast start their collection at like PlayStation and beyond. A lot of people don't have old stupid NES games. I know a lot of me and you do, and a lot of people we talk to, but there are people who just have PlayStation games, and that's fine. Collect what you like.
Yeah.
But also go back and get Metal Gear on MSX, which is probably like $300 or $400. But
and get Metal Gear 2. For a while, the only place you could get Metal Gear 2 was on the MSX.
Yeah, that's a very expensive game. That's like $500 to $1,000 now.
Woof. Glad I bought it already.
Yeah, don't do that. But yeah, a lot of Hideo Kojima stuff. Also, if you go into like first works of a lot of developers, there's like a lot of both obscure and not obscure computer games, and not even first works. Like when you think of, Hideo Kojima, I think Antarctic Adventure, I think might be his first game, like some weird MSX game that no one cares about. But then like you have like Snatcher, that's a computer game first. Policenauts, that's a PC 98 game. There's like a lot of really cool collectible stuff that's a lot rarer than the console versions, and a lot of it's like the original version. Like the original version of Policenauts is the PC 88 the original version of Snatcher is the PC 88 version of Snatcher. It's like $100 to $200. It's not the Saturn. It's not the Saturn. The Saturn version did not come out in Europe 2 weeks before the PC 88 version came out. That's such a stupid joke. I hate you. I hate you. So, I'm leaving the podcast.
You love me. I'm the only one who will talk to you. Hey, we did leave out that this is a thing that people do for computers too. They collect creators, which is, you don't really do so much on Nintendo or other consoles. Like you do a little bit, but on computers, it is definitely more of a thing to follow around a creator.
See, on consoles, you just kind of end up having them all. Because a lot of times, like if you collect like the popular stuff, like on consoles, like, oh, I have all the Cliff Bleszinski games because I bought all the common Xbox 360 games or something, right?
But on PC, it's like very specific to call that. And like these games which get called out with a creator's name on front of it is legacy from PC games. That, that was stuff that was coming over from there. Like, we have to put the creator's name, and Atari a little bit, but
that's stuff from Activision. Yeah, Activision, that was like one of their main things that they wanted to call out creators.
They called out. But that was a mainstay on PC too, because they would call it out, who all their creators were, and that was not something that happened as much. So that's just a little call out there that we may have missed. Go
on. Johnny, platform adventure, because I refuse to say Metroidvania. Another genre with an interesting history of like, where do you really define where this starts? It kind of depends on all the checklist items.
I mean, Metroid, right?
It starts with probably Below the Root. Maybe in some, I don't know, can you consider like Montezuma's Revenge a Metroid-like game? But
did it come out before Metroid?
Yeah, these are from like 1984.
Okay, then I don't consider it a game like Metroid.
Or like Zillion 2, that came out before Metroid, right? That's a Metroid-like game. That's a platform adventure. No, it didn't. It came out in 1987. What do I know about Zillion? Am I thinking of the right game?
It's on the Sega Master System.
Yeah, I don't know. Below the Root. That's an interesting game because I didn't hear of it until I looked up the history of Metroid games. It's like, oh, all right, cool. I guess this is maybe the first one. All right.
Okay, so go get Metroid, the important one.
Probably, I would, you know what? I'm going to maybe say something controversial. I would probably take Metroid, a nice hang tab, over Below the Root for the Apple II.
Yeah, but try to get both, if this is your thing. Puzzle games, Tyler. Tell me about some puzzle games, because I think puzzle games really shine on the PC, and I think, I think it captured so many people, especially moms across America.
I mean, it depends on what type of puzzle you're looking for. I mean, I think most people at this point would associate puzzle games with mobile games, which is a little sad because puzzle games, I think, used to be more prestigious. I don't know. They were still casual games, but they were harder puzzle games. But Yeah, Bejeweled, the match 3 genre. I think I've been trying to figure this out. And someone can just correct me, because the best way to get information is to say the wrong thing on the internet and then get corrected. I think the first physical release of Bejeweled is Bejeweled/Alchemy, the big box release of Bejeweled that also comes with Alchemy. But please tell me I'm wrong and give me the first release of Bejeweled, because I want the first release of Bejeweled, because it's kind of one of those things where like everyone kind of thinks match 3 is a joke. It's like a lazy, easy genre, and it's also one of the biggest video game genres there possibly is because of games like Candy Crush.
Hidden adventure and puzzle games have been keeping PC gaming alive, or kept PC gaming alive in the 2000s, so we could have Steam still be a thing. Okay, just so you know.
Johnny, look at the last genre I have on this list. Hidden object games. Mystery Case Files Huntville. You think you were gonna come up with some NES Where's Waldo shit? That does not count. Mystery Case Files Huntville, the million-selling PC hidden object games. This is a smash hit hidden object game by Big Fish Entertainment, and you've never even heard of it, and you call yourself a video game historian? You don't even know about this? That's because you don't consider PC games.
Really? I guess I'll just have to tell you what I've been buying and what I've been playing.
You want to just skip the rest?
No, keep going. Just go fast. Just do it. Tell the people about survival horror games.
Johnny, all right, this is weird. So the first survival horror game, a lot of like the Wikipedia type sources call it AX2 Uchu Yusin Nostromo, which is a multi-cassette. And one of the games is a survival horror game where you're running away from an @ symbol that represents basically the alien from the movie Aliens. And sure, I guess it's survival horror. I don't know. I think, yeah, it's like kind of this weird definition of, because when you think of survival horror, you definitely think of things like limited ammo, leaving items around a mansion and going to collect them later. And like, it's such a simple game that it kind of meets the criteria, but it only has so many mechanics that it can only meet so much of the criteria by definition. There's also 3D Monster Maze for the ZX81, which does not meet like survival horror standards, but very much meets, I mean, man, that's a horror game. That's a scary video game where you're running away from a dinosaur in a 3D maze. Very cool video game. Go play that on Internet Archive. Cool. But the actual survival horror game that matters, I think, is probably Sweet Home for the Famicom. So I don't think PC wins this one. So there is Alone in the Dark from 1992, which came out 4 years before Resident Evil. Basically the same game. And so like you go on like an Alone in the Dark video on YouTube, and all the comments are like, these people think Resident Evil was the real survival horror game. They didn't know that us PC gamers had it 4 years earlier. Yeah, you go back another 4 years, you had Sweet Home, which is literally just Resident Evil on an NES. It's crazy how effective of a game it is in 2D. So I'm not going to give PC survival horror.
Okay.
I am going to give PC flight simulators, because the first commercial flight simulator was A2 FS1 for the Apple II, a game I think is super cool because it's the first flight simulator and because it eventually got spun off into the original Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I think that both A2 FS1 and Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.0 are cool flight simulators to own. I'm the only person who cares about the flight sim genre, so let's just move on to a genre that everyone cares about, Johnny. Visual novels!
Woo!
I actually looked this up for the video, or for the podcast, and I can't believe it's not porn, and I can't believe it's a popular game. Apparently, the first visual novel game is the Portopia serial murder case.
That it's not. How is it not porn?
One, how is it not porn? And two, this is like a very popular game. This is sort of like, you know how like Final Fantasy people will say like, it's the first RPG, or like Dragon Quest. Like you expect there to be like, yeah, all right, that's the first one. But like, what's the real like crap that no one's ever heard of that leads up to it? Apparently, like, I'm going to need like Daddy Mulk or someone who actually speaks Japanese and wants to correct me. Come at me with the first visual novel that's not the Portopia serial murder case. And I think this was like re-released on Switch, I think. So maybe it wasn't. Maybe that other like Famicom detective game was, and I'm getting those mixed up. Anyway.
So I think that's a question we're going to have to ask quite a bit as we continue the podcast. It wasn't porn? Question mark? That's
it wasn't porn.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a joke, but so much media has been created because of porn that a lot of times the first thing is just because someone wanted some porn from it. So it's funny, but it's also a little bit true.
I mean, I'm sure I'm not up to date on like virtual reality headsets and stuff like that. I don't own a virtual reality headset, but I bet the cutting edge is driven by the pornography industry.
I dollars to donuts on that. All right, that was visual novels. What about action RPGs?
Hold on, wait. I need to give some collecting tips. A2FS1 Johnny, the original release of the first flight simulator.
Here, I've got collecting tips. Don't.
The manual has a wireframe airplane on the first release. Don't get any of them that have like real graphics.
Don't get the yellow
on the front.
Cover. Don't get the yellow cover. You want the
yellow
one.
Cover's bullshit, but it's the only version you'll find because I've been searching for years for one of the earlier releases. I think the yellow cover is the third print. The first prints have like different colors besides yellow because they were literally just using like whatever construction paper was in the copy machine. It's crazy. Some of these like early baggy games, and I've been searching for years for an earlier release than the third.
I just want my credit here because that's not in the notes that I knew the cover color.
Oh,
come
absolutely.
on, Tyler. Were you surprised? You were surprised?
Really
no, I don't care about that. I just want to know if you were surprised that I knew that.
No, I'm sure I've hammered A2FS1 into you at some point because I think it's so cool.
Oh my God, it's in my heart. I hate it. Okay. Do you have any collecting tips for the visual novels before we move on to action?
I absolutely do. The first release of Portopia Serial Murder Case is on the PC 6001, and there are, I think, 3 variants. So there's one that just says PC 6601. There's one that says PC 6601 or PC 6001 and PC 6001 Mark II. And there's one that says PC 6001, PC 6001 Mark II, and PC 6601. So the first release would be the one that just says PC 6001. And I've been looking for it casually for years. I don't have one yet. So you can go and snipe that from under me if you really want the first print of the Portopia Serial Murder Case for the PC 6001.
All right. Now let's get to action RPGs. Is there any?
It's just Diablo. Like, who cares about anything?
Just go buy Diablo.
Don't give me anything on the action RPG. It invented the action RPG genre by accident. Like, I don't care what. You could probably like point out some games that accidentally had like real-time action and some kind of thing that you could consider loot. But like Diablo invented the action RPG genre by it was going to be a turn-based game, and then at the last minute someone's like, it kind of works real time. We did this like overnight. I changed the entire genre of the game. And they invented the modern action RPG.
Yep.
What an idea.
It's crazy that happened in one night.
Yeah.
If you haven't read up on that, it's wild.
What a cool story. Man, imagine if Diablo was like a turn-based game, like it was like Fallout, and then all of a sudden, like, we're just not thinking about Diablo anymore. Like, no one thinks about the original Fallout, kind of, sort of. Yeah.
This dude just changed so much video game history all by himself on a whim, on a one-night whim. He stayed up late and did this to us.
Like, literally, that one night is probably a major part of the reason that Blizzard sold for billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And he probably got, like, a pizza party for it. Eat the rich, guys, by the way.
And because he was a developer in a time when they didn't give overtime, he didn't even get extra money for those hours he was working.
He's just doing it for fun.
Yep. That guy should have a statue to himself at Blizzard, probably. You know what? If we can get to a Blizzard, if you don't have one of your damn anniversary swords named after this dude, what are we even doing? All right.
Is that like a WoW thing?
Well, they do like for your like corporate anniversary there, they give like swords and shields and stuff.
Oh, all right. Nerds.
Yeah. You mean guys that work at Blizzards are nerds?
Yeah. You know what? My job, they used to give you a glass orb for every 10 years you work there. So 10 years you get a glass orb, 20 years you get another glass orb. And at my 9th year at my job, they discontinued the glass orbs. I still remember this, and I'm bitter about it. I want a glass orb. You should be.
Hey, did you know it's my 10-year work anniversary today?
Cool.
Did it. Getting
promoted and stuff?
No. It just tracks on. No one gives a shit. They're going to write my name on a board. And by a board, it's not even a physical board anymore now. It's just a message that goes into a team channel, and no one cares.
Yeah, everyone's going to say like, oh, grats.
There will be some thumbs up emojis, but that's going to be a list of like, because it was like a little bit of a hiring boom that always happens kind of around July. So there's going to be like 20 other names. Half the time, because my anniversary is on 4th of July, the person who does the names isn't like here this week. So it just doesn't even get posted that week. So a lot of times my anniversary doesn't even come up on the corporate bulletin board.
I think that's a thing lacking from your life that maybe you can live with.
You know what? You would say so, but it used to get written on the board consistently when I first started there. So I used to go take a picture of myself by the board that was physically up every year to celebrate my work anniversary. And then when I had my son, I had him with me, and I would take a picture with me and him by the board. And then something happened, and then I couldn't do it anymore. And I feel the sting of it. I actually wrote an angry email once because my name didn't get put up on the board. I'm not even kidding.
It's the most old man thing you said.
Dude, I was so mad because, again, it was someone younger who took over the thing, and they just didn't think it mattered to people. And it mattered to me to get that little picture. It's like, oh, well, I just wasn't around this week, so I just didn't do it. I'm like, well, could you just write my name on the board and just put it there so I can go take my stupid picture? All you need to do is write Johnny Iucci -7 so I can get my picture with my son. No? Okay.
Johnny, we need to get through the rest of the stupid episode that I wrote notes for, but no one cares about. All these early PC games and genres.
Bro,
not early PC games and genres, early games and genres that just happen to all be computer games.
Okay.
So
we're looking at a
video game historian.
We're going to be a 4-hour episode of CQ. Let's go!
Tactical RPGs, Johnny. This is a Collector's Quest exclusive here. We revealed that the first tactical RPG, no one has disputed this, Dungeon of Doom, for what was it? It was for the Apple II from 1980. I do not know of an earlier video game that has tactical RPG battles. There is one copy of this found by Collector's Quest listener John Brown. I dumped it. I made a YouTube video on it, and as far as I know, it's the first tactical RPG ever. I kind of been casually looking in the background, like, am I gonna find something earlier? I haven't found anything earlier. As far as I know, John still has the only copy. John, please, dear God, sell that to me. Thank you.
Imagine you could have just had it by never sending it back.
I basically didn't for a year because it took me a year to do that shit.
All right. What matters though? Because no one's heard of that, obviously, since you're the one who dumped it.
Probably Ultima 3 is kind of the mainstream game that had tactical RPG battles. That's the one that reviews of the time will all mention Ultima 3 when they review other tactical RPGs. Or Dragon and Princess came out.
Are you going to give this to PCs and not just give it to like Final Fantasy Tactics?
Oh yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics. Yeah, basically in the same realm as Ultima 3, which came out in like 1983 or something.
I know, but Final Fantasy Tactics came out in like 1995 or something.
I mean, I'm sure I'm going for like the earliest stuff in genre. So there is a point where like, you get into tactical RPGs like Shining Force, where it's nothing but battles. So Ultima 3 is just a regular RPG Ultima game, but the battles happen to be like a tactical grid. It's not Final Fantasy Tactics stuff.
Okay.
I don't want to extend this episode any longer. Johnny, 4X games. Explore.
What is a 4X game?
Exploit, exterminate, one other X. There's strategy games for super nerds. It's strategy where you own a bunch of dots on a grid. They could be city-states. They could be planets. And you click your planets and, oh my God, you got all this shit to set. You got to set the tax rate. You got to handle natural disasters. You got to start recruiting troops. and you just micromanage fucking everything, and turns take forever. They're turn-based games where like a single turn takes you 30 minutes to go through all the shit you got to manage in all your little cities. Civilization is a 4X strategy game.
Cool.
And that's the one that matters. But the first 4X game is called Reach for the Stars. And man, I look into like this early genre stuff a lot. I do not remember ever coming across Reach for the Stars. So I don't know how accurate this is. This is probably just like what Wikipedia said is the first one. But apparently that's the first 4X strategy game. It's a space game from 1983 on the Apple II. I'm going to go buy one.
Please do.
Can I go buy one right now? Can we just After Dark
No,
this? I'll just do that in After Dark. All right.
You don't want to extend this any further? This whole episode is almost an After Dark anyway, so let's go.
I that's kind of true. Johnny, strategy games. This is a weird one because you would think like first-person shooters and like point-and-click adventure games, like it's just like a shoo-in. Like strategy games, the first ones have to be on computers because all these games were made by like super nerds and students. So they're all just going to be the PC. The first strategy game, I think, that you could actually physically own is on the Magnavox Odyssey in 1972 because it comes with a sort of board game like Risk. I don't even know what it's called, but it just goes to the Odyssey by default.
Can I just give it to Risk?
If you do the thing where you like take all video games back to Stick and Rock and the Royal Game of Ur and like everything is in the history of video games, yes, you could just give it to Risk. Risk, famously known as the first strategy game.
Did Axis, I mean, I know people love Axis and Allies. Did Axis and Allies actually come out before Risk, or was Risk first?
I don't know. See, I didn't have Axis and Allies and I always saw old copies of it, so I always thought that Axis and Allies came out first.
Yeah.
Because it always looked like it was like a game, like it always had like older style art on the box, but I'm sure Risk is also a very old game too. If you search for Axis and Allies on Google, you get a bunch of pictures of Nazis, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
The first computer war game, Johnny, which maybe is the first, I bet the first strategy game, again, not something you could really own, but the first one I think that you can own, or at least the first computer war game, Computer Bismarck. Also, maybe the first computer game to come in a box, at least the first significant computer game to come in a box. It's a cool game. Where have you heard Computer Bismarck? I'm the only person in your life who has ever brought this up over like the past 5 years. I keep mentioning Computer Bismarck, and I keep upgrading my copy of Computer Bismarck, and there's a big box, and there's a small box. There's like a thick box and a thin box. And go get the bigger box because that's the first release and it's cool because that's the first computer game box ever, but it also kind of doesn't really matter because Atari Games already had them.
Okay.
And then when you get into real-time strategy games, again, the most PC genre of all time, it has like nothing to do with PC. So again, you go back to Utopia on the Intellivision, which is kind of a real-time strategy game because it does take place in real time. Utopia, by the way, very cool game that no one plays because it's only 2-player. And then Herzog Zwei for the Sega Genesis is kind of the first real-time strategy game. It's a little bit weird. It's not like selecting a box and sending your like 10 troops to go attack the enemy base. You control like a robot, but it's a real-time strategy base building game. Very cool. And then the first real-time strategy game that you would look at and be like, oh, that looks like StarCraft is Dune 2 on PC, which came out 3 years after Herzog Zwei. So
I have an update for us, but Risk came out first by a long while.
Just everything that we just talked about, Magnavox Odyssey, Computer Bismarck, Utopia, Herzog Zwei, Dune 2, just fuck it all and buy StarCraft, and it's the only game that will ever matter in this entire genre.
Well, what about Warcraft?
Fuck Warcraft. Warcraft sucks. Hero units suck. Get out of here. I mean, unless you want to say, like, well, we had to have Warcraft 2 before we could have StarCraft, then sure, like, Warcraft 2 is important because it gave us StarCraft.
Okay, well, go buy Warcraft 1 because without Warcraft 1, we don't get.
Fuck your Warcraft 1. No one cares. If you didn't grow up with Warcraft 1, not a single person cares about Warcraft 1. And I know people who didn't grow up with StarCraft play StarCraft. because it's like a Korean esport. So people, and
Or-
you can't, and if you're like over 18 years old, you don't have the physical capacity to play StarCraft at an elite level anymore. And they're still playing StarCraft at an elite level over there. So there must be kids who didn't grow up with it who are playing it.
All right. Or go ahead and get the first copy of Risk, which came out in 1957 by Albert Lamorisse, and it came out as La Conquête du Monde, The Conquest of Worlds, and it was released by Parker Brothers as Risk in 1959. So get that 1957 copy before when it had the original title.
Are you telling me that the Magnavox Odyssey 2 game, The Conquest of the World, which is basically Risk, it's a hybrid board game, computer game, that is actually the original name of Risk?
Yes, I am.
What
That's
a
how
ripoff.
I'm bringing the room together with this rug. I did it.
Wow.
Axis and Allies, 1981.
Oh, wow. Okay. You know
You
what?
didn't think that it was all going to like tie together, but I did it.
Well, it wasn't the same game. It's not the Odyssey game. I don't know what the Odyssey game is called. That's just an Odyssey 2 game. But
Anyways,
not enough people collect historic board games, I don't think. Everyone's always collecting cool board games because it's very exciting and cool, and like no one actually wants to play board games from the 1950s. But show me all your first print Monopolies and Risks and the Game of Life. Show me like all the good stuff. Who's got that?
yeah.
Probably like some rich old pop culture collector, and no one cares about his collection.
Yeah, show me La Conquête du Monde. I'm just butchering French right there. I'm acting like I knew how that's said. I don't. Yeah.
I mean, not to a French person, but to me, it's
No, they. In fact, it was to antagonize French people. I did it on purpose. Coming right back at you, Quebec, bringing it back. Okay.
Johnny, for the survival genre, I don't even know what matters. Don't tell me that Survival Kids matters. It's basically just Minecraft. I don't care what came out before Minecraft, because everything in the survival genre now is built completely on the bones of Minecraft.
You mean Lego?
Lego?
Yeah, it came out before Minecraft. It's not
Lego.
survival, but without Lego, there's no Minecraft.
What the hell are you talking about? Oh, you're talking... No one cares about building stuff with bricks. It's about going into caves and getting blown up by creepers, Johnny. And having hunger.
Okay.
All right. Minecraft does not have any physical release. There's a demo in a PC Gamer magazine, and you can get the full game as a gift card. Very difficult to find the gift cards. I have searched a lot. You could get a gift card, the first print gift card, very difficult to find it. It's just got Steve on it. And there's variants of that one. Just don't go down the Minecraft gift card rabbit hole. It sounds appealing because Minecraft is such a mega massive, maybe the biggest game of all time type thing, but it's not worth going down a gift card rabbit hole. I'm telling you. I don't know. Why do I even have these genres? Hero shooter, you can get the original orange box, but that's also an Xbox 360. So that's a double one right there. And you know what? Minecraft, you could argue the first physical release is on Xbox 360. So maybe PC doesn't even get that one.
Okay.
Sports. I think if you look up the history of sports games, people are like, Pong, obviously. I don't even know where what sports games matter. There's probably like sports strategy games and football manager types games. But the first sports game and only sports game that matters is really kind of Madden. And so you can get either the Apple II version, which is the original release, the first Madden, or the Genesis version of Madden, which is the one that plays more like Madden turned into and is a much more historically significant game, and that people actually played it and remember it.
Fair.
Maybe you played Madden at your friend's house on your Apple II. I don't know.
I did not.
All right. And Johnny, I put digital collectible card game because I was going down the list of genres, and I'm like, sure, digital collectible card game. And obviously, that's going to be the 1997 Magic the Gathering big box PC game, right?
Yeah.
Bam! No, it's Digital Devil Story Megami Tensei for the MSX, the first Megami Tensei game. I don't even know if that counts, but I think I've only played Persona, but I know Persona has like a sort of pseudo card collecting and combining mechanic. And apparently all the Megami Tensei games have that sort of thing. So maybe Megami Tensei counts. It doesn't matter. No one cares about the first digital collectible card game. So this isn't even a thing you should collect.
Yes, they do. They do care. And it's the Pokemon trading card game on the Game Boy that comes with the Pikachu promo. So go find that one.
What wouldn't the Magic the Gathering game came first though?
Doesn't matter. The one that matters is the Pokemon one that comes with the card.
So I know I'm bringing up some obscure, stupid bullshit here, but I think that enough people have played the 1997 Magic the Gathering PC game that it does matter in terms of card collecting enthusiasts.
Or Charizard? No, Chandelar.
I don't know, something like that. Yes. Johnny, the last genre I had was MOBA.
So go get Pokemon, the trading card game for the Game Boy Color with that exclusive Pikachu.
Isn't it a Meowth? I think it's a Meowth.
Is it Meowth?
It's a Meowth.
Is it?
They couldn't give you a good card like Pikachu.
Oh, there is like a weird Pikachu IV promo. I don't know. There's like 100 promos from that era. They're the WB promos. You can get like a Dragonite. You can get a Pikachu. There's a bunch.
Actually, the one that comes with the Pokemon trading card game on the Game Boy Color is, in fact, a Black Star promo Meowth.
Yeah, the Black Star promos are, all over.
Garbage.
Anyways, go on.
Nah, we're done, Johnny. I put MOBAs. I don't even know what the MOBA genre is. I am so much of an old man just by Warcraft 3. Oh my god, because obviously the Warcraft 3 mod, Defense of the Ancients, is when some terrible person wasted their time for free creating the MOBA genre, and now we have to deal with whatever the fuck League of Legends is, and 40 million people are playing League of Legends, and all I know about League of Legends is that people on YouTube complain about it like it's the worst game ever, and they all have played it, and they all think it sucks, but it's super popular, and I don't know why, and I look at it, and I don't know what's going on, and there's lanes, and there's junglers, and there's creeps, and it's just like, you're playing Diablo, but it's player versus player, and it doesn't look that fun, and you have to play on like 5 versus 5, so you're relying on like 4 absolute dumbasses to do what they're supposed to do, and that just never works because it's an online game, and it's so team focused. Like, I could just play a team deathmatch in whatever first person shooter, and even if my team sucks, I'm still having fun because I'm doing good. But I can't imagine sitting down for 45 minutes on a fucking MOBA while my team sucks and just slowly losing. It just seems like the worst genre.
Terrible.
I think roguelites are the worst genre, actually. But you know what? Maybe MOBAs are. But I've never even played a MOBA, so I don't know. All right, Johnny. I thought we were going to go more into collecting on each of those games, but also this show is already over 3 hours long. So we just talked to, so you want to collect PC games? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe consider collecting PC games.
Maybe. Go get your LucasArts games and your first-person shooters.
You kind of get it. I'm over here like, you know what? Maybe people would really be interested in Reach for the Stars on Apple II, the first 4X strategy game. And you're just over constantly like, yeah, dude, just, go pick up Loom, dude. You like Loom.
Yep. Keep it simple, guys. All right. Not a staple of Collector's Quest at all. Keeping it simple.
Anyway, we got to do all the show stuff now.
We do. Now it's time to talk about the best things we saw in the Discord and answer collectors' questions. And if you want to do that, if you want us to say, hey, you bought something cool, well, you're going to have to fight all the other people in the Discord. But if you want us to answer your questions, you can do that by just becoming a member of our Patreon. Do that for $5. Go to patreon.com/collectorsquest. Join up and you'll get into the Discord. You'll get to hang out with all the best collectors. And that's the best part. And you get some like after dark content where we do more of the show, but it's less focused about video games. Hey, who wants more of us talking? Probably not you. Bad salesman for this. Tyler, do you have a question for us?
No, but I'm looking through what people posted this week in the Show Off Your Games channel. And I don't know how this happened, but Harvey Griss bought a game called Spirit of Excalibur for the Commodore CD-TV.
I'm sorry. What is that? Harvey, you did it.
That's a very obscure video game console, man, and it fits right in with our Amiga CD32 and talking about computers, and man, who is buying Commodore CD-TV games?
What, Tiger Wolf, he bought, is this game really called Koei Jesus?
I don't remember what it's called. I don't think it's called Koei Jesus. There is another, there's a computer game called Jesus, but this isn't it.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, he bought the Koei game that has Jesus on the cover. White Jesus, to be very specific.
Yeah. Man, just this thing is wild. Spirit of Excalibur. Way to go. What a cool box. You looking at this thing?
I mean, it looks pretty sick. Where was this box displayed? Where did you buy Commodore CD-TV games? Would just walk into Micro Center and like, oh, here's the Commodore CD-TV section.
It's crazy because Psycho Killer is, I think it's, entertainment adult, same people, CD-TV. Yeah, this is crazy that it's all coming together.
It's all coming together. Guys, so really when we were talking, so now that we did like maybe go collect PC games episode, people are going to be like, oh, there's PC consoles? You mean Commodore CD-TV? Amiga CD32? Oh yeah, we're going to collect those. Atari XEGS? These are the real consoles. Consoles for the people.
Now it's got me wondering if Psycho Killer actually comes in a long box like this.
It's CD-TV, not CD32, so they're different consoles.
I know, but the Amiga, if you look at Psycho Killer, it also just calls it CD-TV.
Oh, all right. Oh, what? All right, I don't know. You got to go find the long box then. You might be screwed. Because you know what? This is the thing where, like, you bought the copy that was available, but, like, if this long box exists, like, it might show up once every 3 years, because who the fuck knows what this is?
Oh, my God. I mean, it's got a UPC on back, so I don't think so. But, man, now I got to go look.
And then Joe got, this is kind of a default victory, but, you know, he got an early release of Super Mario Brothers on NES with 8539 date codes, which just a couple years ago would have been the earliest known release of Super Mario Brothers until some jerks on Video Game Sage. There's an earlier date code than the 8539. I don't remember what it is. It's like 8535 or something. It's basically the earliest Famicom date code, but in an NES cartridge. And I think it was only one of the chips. But either way, he had what used to be the earliest known copy of Super Mario Brothers, which is still very cool. Don't get into date codes, because you're going to spend years of your life looking for a certain date code, and then when you find it, someone's going to find an earlier one and just, like, ruin your whole existence.
So, I just want to point out, the guys in the Discord did a really good job of collecting these 2 weeks, because we've got an Ocarina of Time in here, sealed, 9.6, looking nice, by Tucci. We have a nice graded Castlevania 4. We've got some early Prince Zeldas in here. Man, there's some good stuff showing off. Resident Sentimental's got Resident Evil long box. Just good stuff. Good stuff all around.
Good job, guys. The Fleo got his super rare games version of Blood, the hit game from listener of the show, Future Man. # Blood, or just Blood. I don't know.
And Galdius, he gets all kinds of cool stuff constantly. All right, Galdius, you're getting tired of hearing your damn name. I know it. All right.
I'm going to go pick a
question
for the podcast.
Excellent news.
Ruben asks, we're in the apocalypse and nothing has value except essential items. I'm guessing my copy of like Ocarina of Time is not an essential item, I guess. Do you open those sealed games that you always wondered if it had all the posters or whatever, or does your collector game refuse to let you do it? Basically, if it's the apocalypse or like you're about to die, are you just going to open all your sealed games for the collecting joy of it?
No. Absolutely not.
I'm definitely not either. So
just not even, it didn't even occur to me that could be a thing.
Oh, no, I definitely thought like if I'm retired and on my deathbed, I'll take a copy of like Ocarina of Time and just open it for the feels, for those nostalgic feels of opening it.
No. Who cares?
Since I've been a serious collector, serious, whatever you consider a freaking serious video game collector.
Since you became a historian, go on.
But like, I've opened a few older games, I think mostly Sega Genesis and big box PC games. And every time I open them, my feeling is almost universally, oh, that's it. Man, I probably shouldn't have opened this. I think a lot of the Genesis stuff was for research, but I do specifically remember opening a copy of Gadget, Invention, Travel, and Adventure. You might know it as Gadget Past as Future, which is a game, a very obscure adventure game. And I had it sealed for some reason, and it wasn't in good condition. And I was like, I might as well open it because it's not in good condition anyway. And I opened it, and the box was like mostly empty, not in great condition. All the stuff was kind of like loose, rattling inside the box. And I'm like, I went from a sealed bad condition game to an open bad condition game. This feels worse, and no part of this process gave me joy. So now I just do not open my sealed video games. Unless it's like for research and it's cheap.
Yeah, that was it. Okay.
I mean, it was like a $35 game or something, but I thought it would be like fun to open a sealed game, and I was like, no, this wasn't that fun. I thought this would be cooler.
It wasn't.
It's basically the same as opening a Switch game. You open it up, and it's like, there's nothing in here.
That's sad.
All right. Final Fight CD is giving us a quiz. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, boy.
He says if we get them all right, we're an R game collecting legend.
No.
I'm not even going to give you the multiple choices because I don't think you need them. Johnny, how many exits are in Super Mario World?
No idea.
Oh, man.
Four.
What?
Wrong answers only.
Okay. It's 96.
4.
I've beaten that game many times. How many 9.8 A++ made in Japan Super Mario 64s are on the What a Pop report? Is there one that's not made in Japan?
I have no idea. All of them? Let's go ahead and say 92.
92, 9.8 A++. All right, I'm going to say closest wins, and I'm going to say 4.
Yeah, and 98 A++? Is that the one that sold? That's not the expensive one because that was a worse grade.
No, right? The 9.8++ is the one that sold for $1.56 million. Okay. Wada's blocking my IP because I'm on a VPN, and if I get off my VPN, I'm going to drop the call with you. So I'm just not going to check that, Johnny.
All right.
Thanks, Wada. You're doing a great job blocking those AI bots. And now I'm not going to mention your pop report on the show. Johnny, what's the first episode of Doom named?
Gilligan's Island.
All right, you're not good at this. It's Knee Deep in the Dead. In The Legend of Zelda for NES, the Triforce pieces are collected in what? In The Legend of Zelda for the NES, the Triforce pieces are collected in what? Do you know what this is? I'm going to read the multiple choice answers, which I haven't read.
Collected in what?
Collected in
units?
What? I mean, they're little triangles. They're called something strange. Did you just say units?
Yeah.
Because that's what they're called, right? In that opening scroll, It calls them units.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's asking what the name of dungeons are.
Oh. What do you mean what the name of the dungeons are? The Underworld?
His multiple choice answers are castles, boards, labyrinths, or dungeons.
Isn't it called going into the Underworld when you go into the dungeons?
No, they're called labyrinths.
I thought they were called going into underworlds.
I mean, you could be correct too. You find that in the manual, I'll believe you, but I am almost positive they're called labyrinths.
I know. I would be inclined to say they're labyrinths too, but I thought there was a thing where they were called underworlds.
Also, labyrinths is a way cooler name than dungeons. I don't know. So if something about that just feels more like old-timey video games or a puzzle to be solved type thing.
No. So Hyrule's Underworld is made up of 9 labyrinths or dungeons. So they are contained within the Underworld. So What do you
Johnny, what is the physical difference, not counting color, between the Super Famicom controller and Super Nintendo controller?
Not counting color?
Yep.
Between the Super Famicom and this... Aren't the buttons not shifted?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever actually used a Super Famicom controller.
I think all the Super Famicom buttons are convex.
Oh, they're convex instead of concave.
And then the Super NES is half and half. Yeah. And then final question here. I don't know. Are we getting scored on this? I think I'm batting 100 here. Okay. Well, I didn't know about the Wad Up Hop report, actually. Name 4 SNES games published by Koei.
Uncharted Waters, Super Uncharted Waters, Romance of the Three Kingdoms 3.
Is Romance of the Three Kingdoms 3 on SNES?
I believe so. And then like Liberty or Death.
Also, what is with Uncharted Waters and Super Uncharted Waters? Because there's Uncharted Waters New Horizons, but Uncharted Waters isn't on SNES, is it?
No. Yeah, Uncharted Waters is on SNES, isn't it? Or am I just thinking...
I think you're thinking of New Horizons. And Uncharted Waters is on NES, definitely.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about the Genesis. Is Uncharted Waters on both of them on that?
Well... You know what? To bring it all back together, Johnny, the original release of Uncharted Waters was actually for the NEC PC-88. And I think that is a very worthwhile version to own, because Uncharted Waters is a fucking awesome game. But Uncharted Waters was released on SNES, and then Uncharted Waters New Horizons is the sequel. Romance of the Three Kingdoms, are we giving that to you? Yes, Romance of the Three Kingdoms 3 is on it. I would have said Romance of the Three Kingdoms 4. And then you said Liberty or Death, which I would not have thought of. I would have thought of Aerobiz and Aerobiz Supersonic, which is also a cop-out because that's a game and the sequel. I think we could have both named 4 Koei games. We're the best.
Yeah, I mean, like Civilization is also on there, right?
What? How would Koei publish Civilization?
I believe so.
All right, I'm taking a detour. We're after dark in this. What are you talking about? Civilization on SNES published by Koei? That's... What? I don't believe you. How? Whoa, wow, that is such a cool call out. How did you know that?
I don't know.
That's so weird. Why is that published by Koei? All right. I mean, it's because Koei's a video game publisher, and that's what they do. They publish video games. All right.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
That's a cool cut, though. I love that.
There's like PTO, right? And PTO 2.
Koei didn't even publish that in Japan. That is such a cut, Johnny. You're so good. It's because you look at the SNES boxes and not the PC boxes, but I love it.
This is such why I know knowledge. These things. All right. I'm like, what's the one? It's like, I'm thinking it's got like a dumb crest on it. It's like fire or something or other. It's like a dumb game. Oh well. It'll come to me later.
Johnny, what are you buying? What are you playing?
Ooh, Tyler, what am I playing? I am not yet playing the new season of Diablo, so that hasn't happened. I know you're disappointed to hear that I haven't played any Diablo 4. No, I've been playing Star Wars Unlimited, the card game, in person, so I have not played any video games. My free time was dedicated to that. I mean, I played it online because there's an online client where you can like play some games. It's a little bit janky, but it's fine. Gets the job done.
No, that's okay. We just talked about how digital collectible card games are a very real and well-respected video game genre.
Yeah.
That people often think about when thinking about the history of video games.
Isn't Romance of the Three Kingdoms 2 also on Super Nintendo? Sorry, my brain is still like processing information from the past.
I don't know. You're the one with the set. I only have 4.
Phoenix? Is it Rising Phoenix or something?
Johnny, stay on topic.
Sorry, my brain is still trying to get the Koei stuff. Because when I decided I wasn't going to do wrong answers, you were like, that's dumb. So
yes, Rise of the Phoenix is also a Koei game.
Okay. Thank you.
If it's a boring game where you like have a rice number on the side, you got like your number of rice, number of coins, number of troops, that's a Koei game. 100% guaranteed.
Nobunaga's Ambition.
Yeah, there you go. Not Tiger Wolf. Final Fight CD. You think we don't know our Koei games? Get out of here. You should have asked us to name 8.
We could have got there. Give it enough time. Okay. Anyways, so I that's all I played. What did I buy? Tyler, I bought so much stupid shit. Just the worst collecting I've done in a long time. I bought more stuff from Josh Byerly. Sorry, Josh, to call your stuff garbage, but I was buying some trash and enjoying myself. I have some good stuff coming. You're going to hate it, the new stuff that comes. But I did say in the last episode, I would reveal, if it came, the dumbass sign game that I bought, if you remember. I showed the Discord, but for all those who listen to the podcast and aren't on our Discord, it was Kyle Petty's No Fear Racing, Tyler. So I bought this game, and it's signed by Kyle Petty and Richard Petty on the box. Does that do anything for you? It's not on the box, though. It's actually on the box protector they got this thing signed on. So, and it gets dumber. Okay, wait. It gets dumber. So, whoever had this game, it was like a Blockbuster copy of the game, and they put it in this box protector, and the box is in shit condition. And they taped it with like clear packing tape, like, I don't know, 2 inches under the game on both sides to keep the flaps down, you know, the box protector flaps down.
I know, this sounds great.
Yeah. So when they had him sign it, they didn't have him avoid that part of it. So it's signed on the fucking tape, Tyler.
This is awesome. This is so authentic. I'm sorry to any NASCAR fans we have out there. You know, maybe NASCAR fans, not stereotypically the most sophisticated people. Perhaps was this copy of Kyle Petty No Fear Racing shipped from, I don't know, North Carolina?
My home it was state? Shipped.
Because where else would it have been shipped from?
Georgia.
South Carolina?
Georgia. Georgia's the answer. Making sense, right? Anyways. Yeah, so like in the interior of the box, it still has the stupid like green rental store sticker like on it, like just the dumbest. Anyways,
this is great. Like there is zero question those are authentic signatures. Yeah. Bad condition game, unjustifiably taped box protector. These are authentic signatures, Johnny.
So it did have a couple of good things in it. It did have the reg card inside. It did have...
You opened it? You opened the tape? How could you open the tape?
Well, I just cut the tape on the bottom. It doesn't affect the signature. I didn't take the tape
I know. I'm just saying, it's such a funny object.
I know. It's such a dumb thing to do, because now I can take the box protector and put it on my nice copy. So my nice copy has the signatures. Why did I buy this, though? It wasn't for the reg card, which is hard to find, or the poster. That's also hard to find. Tyler, why did I buy this stupid fucking thing? Do you have any idea why?
Is it for the historical relevance that the Petty NASCAR racing family is the first family in American sports history where 4 generations of athletes were pros?
No.
Okay, well, that's all I got.
Okay, so if you don't know about this dumb game, it comes with a No Fear decal. Says so right on the box. When we do the episode, reading the box explains what's in the box. Well, all this like dumb stuff that like people forgot exists but it's listed directly on the box. This is going to definitely be one of them. So there's a No Fear sticker, and it's just a generic ass No Fear sticker. And do you think that I knew the No Fear sticker was inside the box?
Did you buy it for the sticker or did you buy it for the signature? What are you talking about?
I bought it for the sticker, but I didn't know it was in the box because they had stuck it on the box, Tyler.
Oh my God.
So
perfect.
I want to read to you the auction description first, so you see it. Super Nintendo Kyle Petty Racing Game Cartridge case signed by Richard and Kyle. So it's like really super ambiguous what you're even buying here. Sure. But anyways, so the No Fear sticker, because I was like, there's only a couple of pictures and they're not great of this stupid No Fear decal that have come around, and I wanted to see it because the No Fear logo, though it has changed over time, there are these generic ones of it that exist. So I wanted to see exactly what this stupid sticker would look like if I had it in hand, so I could authenticate it from other ones which are not. And I did that. And eventually I will take a heat gun to this box and I will pull this stupid sticker off, and then I will tuck it in the manual where it'll be nice and safe. Actually, I'll probably put it in a top loader and then throw it in the box with the game. But yeah, that's it.
There is a copy on eBay that comes with 4 different No Fear stickers.
Those are all wrong.
They're
Those
just
are
buying No Fear stickers and throwing them in their copy of Kyle Petty.
Yes.
That's so funny.
Why do you think I need to authenticate this? Because this shit, like, because people will do that. Like, not only are these not close, they're not anywhere next to close. It is the most basic, generic No Fear sticker. And you want to know what I spent some time doing? I spent some time documenting how it's different from the modern day No Fear sticker that you will see that looks very much like this one. Like literally in paint, like drawing lines, little fucking arrows, like, see this? This is how you tell. It has to have this marking. It has to have this. And then I wrote an email and I sent it to a couple of people who give a shit about this. And yeah. Documenting some video game history. Because I'm a historian, Tyler. I didn't know if you know that.
I didn't know that, Johnny.
I'm a collecting historian. That's how I'm going to be able to write all this off.
Well, Johnny, since we're talking about nostalgia on our video game collecting podcast, which is the only reason to talk about old video games is nostalgia.
Yeah.
I do want to tell you that I used to wear a lot of No Fear stuff in like middle school, because the No Fear logo is a flaming skull and it looks kind of like the Offspring logo.
I love that. Do you want to know that? So when I was turning 13, I remember this I was living with my aunt and uncle and my cousin at the time, and they didn't have a lot of money and we were very poor. Right. And they asked me, like, they said, what do you want for your birthday? It can't be very expensive. We don't have a lot of money. And I said, I want 2 No Fear shirts, if that's okay. If not, just one will be all right. And I remember they were a little expensive for shirts. They were $15 each. And I got 2 No Fear shirts. We bought them from the Carson City Mall. And I was very pleased to get them. I felt so fucking cool with my No Fear shirts. Cause like, I finally didn't have like hand-me-down bullshit. I was like, I'm kind of wearing shirts that all the kids are wearing. So I like, even though I only had 2 of them, I felt like a normal kid for a little bit.
All right. See, we're some No Fear guys over here.
Yeah, we are some No Fear guys. So yeah, I had to authenticate that fucking sticker.
So, weird thing. So Williams Pinball, if you think of 90s pinball, like the Addams Family and Twilight Zone, all those are Williams games. And this is the golden age of pinball. One of their best selling games was No Fear in 1995. The middle of the golden age of pinball, there's a fucking No Fear pinball machine. That's weird insane. Is that?
What? That is so weird.
Second best selling game of 1995.
No Fear was very popular.
Yeah.
Very popular. Okay. I spent a lot of time talking about that, but let me give you a rundown of some other dumb stuff I bought. In this one, Tyler, I'm very pleased with, and I spent way too much money on it. It's not really a game. It's a game item. You ever heard of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy?
It's a Cartoon Network show that's way outside your generation, Johnny.
Not way outside my generation. I liked it. Anyways, there are some games that are Cartoon Network games that came with these bonus DVDs. GameCube. Here's the thing. PS2 versions of the game, they have a device in there where you can just clip in another disc. It's not a big deal. GameCube games, this doesn't work very well because GameCubes had the mini disc. So what happened with some of them, but not all of them, they got a little cardboard sleeve that just got shrink wrapped on the back of the box for the bonus DVD. And there's a little call out on the front of the first edition of Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. It's like a pumpkin wearing like a scarecrow hat, you know, real small and kind of like obscure to see for something that's directly on the cover of a game. A little hard to see. That calls this bonus DVD. And I've looked for it for a long, stupid time, and I finally found someone selling one.
Did they know what they had?
Yeah, they did.
Damn.
And Yeah, they knew, and I spent $75 stupid dollars on this thing.
Now you got it. Go
I
watch
do.
that DVD.
I have it, and it's back. I've got it. Quick tangent. Tyler, did you know that there are people out there in the world collecting Cartoon Network bullshit? Like,
what?
This genre, I don't understand it, and I've been trying to like track it down who they are, but they pay a lot of money for items like the Cartoon Network properties of this time. We're talking the Johnny Bravos, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Dexter's Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls, this block. You know, it's kind of a wide block. Don't come at me, Cartoon Network people. But these, like, there's like toys and games and like ancillary promo items that people collect heavily and kind of pay a lot of money for, like Ed, Edd and Eddy. Like,
what the fuck are you talking about, Johnny?
Random cards, trading cards from Ed, Edd and Eddy. What would you think? That would be worth nothing, but people are paying hundreds of dollars for them. I don't understand what's happening. There's a cabal of people who collect this garbage, and I don't know where they live. I don't know if they have a Discord. I don't know what collector channels. I don't know if they've got a YouTube network. I don't know what is happening, but they're paying big money for these weird semi-promotional items. I don't know if it's like a Cartoon Network employee who's like building an archive of this bullshit, but stuff goes for way more than it should. And I just know because I've had to look into it for these other Cartoon Network games that come with like random bullshit. And I went down a rabbit hole and I started to find out like, wait, why is Cartoon Network stuff going for so much money? Who are the people who are doing this and where do they live? So if you know, you tell me. Because I want to talk to these people. What kind of collectors are you? You know me. I'm fascinated by collectors. Find them for me. I want to talk.
As an unbiased 90s kid here who watched both Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network kind of sparingly because my grandparents had cable, but I did not. Nickelodeon seems like kind of way more collectible, like just based on the properties, and it's an older channel.
But this isn't like the 90s. This is like early 2000s Cartoon Network.
What are we...
Like peak Cartoon Network.
Oh, that's so weird. It feels, I mean, I guess it is, it's 90s, 2000s nostalgia stuff. Just like, it doesn't feel, I don't know, classic enough or something. I don't know. Cartoon Network to me, it was always like the other channel. I don't know. Like Nickelodeon felt like the primary prestige kid channel.
Imagine it's like 2002. You're watching Cartoon Network. We're now in 2026. You're what, like 10 years old, 8 years old? So now you're like in your 30s and you're in the prime age and they're collecting this stuff. And I don't know where they are and I want to talk to them is all. I just want to know what's happening over here. Explain your collecting to me. You don't need to justify it. I just want to know about it.
Like what's the good I don't know. I watched some Ed, Edd and Eddy, but like I have no impulse to spend hundreds of dollars on Ed, Edd and Eddy trading cards. Oh damn, one of one sketch card, $750.
See what I mean? You thought it was crazy and then you saw it.
What's going on?
I don't know, Tyler. That's why I'm asking. I don't know.
Oh, they got a Nestle Ice Screamers Ed, Edd and Eddy trading card sealed. Only one for $158. This was an auction, but the last one that sold in May, so it kind of makes sense, I guess.
Tyler,
no,
what
wait.
are we talking about?
This fucking trading card sold on May 5th, and then it was a buy it now for $20. Someone immediately flipped it and put it up as an auction, and it sold for $158 at auction.
That means somebody knows it has value and they're out there churning, Tyler. Someone is capitalizing on this market that somehow exists that I've never heard about. I feel like an insane person.
These are trading cards that came with ice cream? How could this possibly be worth $158?
You want me to drop some video game secret knowledge on the podcast?
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
There's a rare version of Ed, Edd and Eddy for the PlayStation 2, which comes with trading cards, but it looks like the one that's just the basic copy. You have to flip it over on the back to see that it says that it comes with the stupid trading cards. But Tyler, I know you're thinking, well, that's like a lot of PlayStation 2, but it's more obscure than that because, Tyler, the one that comes with the bonus disc on that one, it doesn't have like the big bonus disc thing on the bottom of it. You have to flip this stupid version over. And in the same spot that they put like bonus DVD included, it just says trading cards included. And if you look at all the eBay auctions, and I did, Tyler, every single picture would show you've got like over 150 results for Ed, Ed, and Eddie. And I looked at every single one to see how many would have the stupid bonus trading cards on the back. I found like one. So I've been looking for the trading cards, and and that's how I got down the rabbit hole of like, why are Ed and Ed trading cards going for this? And that all stemmed from me looking up for the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy stupid disc. Tyler, it's insane out there. I don't know what's going on.
This is the kind of madness I don't need to descend into. I used to, man, if I was in my Xbox era, I would be like, you're telling me that there's a rare trading card variant of a PS2 game. I would be searching. I'd have save searches up, get all that dopamine when I finally find one, and it only costs me $22 and has all the trading cards in it. And now, Johnny, I just don't have to care.
There's three trading cards. I have the pictures. I know what they look like.
Oh man,
Tyler, do you want some more secret Ed and Eddie knowledge?
You know what? We're going to record an After Dark after this, so I don't know why you're dropping this all now, but yep.
I mean, cut it. Say, join this is a perfect place.
I'm not,
are
you kidding me? We thought we were going to do that.
No, you got to edit all this out. Just edit it all and say, join the Patreon to find out Johnny's secret knowledge. It's the perfect enticement because people really want to know this Ed and Eddie knowledge.
Uh-huh.
Tyler, I told you that the GameCube games are the ones that typically come with the cardboard sleeve and the DVD or a soundtrack, right? That's typically how the GameCube games are packaged. Why? Because of the insert problem from the mini discs. PlayStation and Xbox, that's not a problem. They just put the bonus disc inside. Except for Ed, Ed, and Eddie. There's a secret version of Ed, Ed, and Eddie which comes with a stupid bonus disc for the Xbox, which is also in a cardboard sleeve. Now, there is not a cardboard sleeve Ed, Ed, and Eddie disc for the GameCube, though. Only the Xbox. And where would you find that out?
Well, the bonus DVD one, there's a bonus DVD one for the PS2, too. What are you talking about?
There is, but that one says it right on it. But this one for the Xbox is only a sticker seal on it. So you just find this cardboard sleeve and it only comes with the Xbox version. There could be a GameCube version. I've looked long and hard. I've never seen one.
All right. It's Ed, Ed, and Eddie, dude. I'm not going to say this game completely doesn't matter. I think people speedrun this game. But maybe it also doesn't really matter that much.
Here's some other secret knowledge. People try to upcharge you for the one with the reg card. Reg card's attached to the back of the manual. If it's got the manual, it probably has the reg card. Don't pay more
so
for that.
So that means they ripped out the reg card.
No.
Or they're just like carefully splaying it out. People do this with Sega Saturn games. They splay out the back to show that it has a registration card, which, yes,
get more money.
That is good, but it's also like, but
attached
like 90% of these have the registration card attached. Who's detaching the registration card?
Yeah, they're trying to get a premium out of you. Don't be suckered.
Yep.
All right. I bought a bunch of other dumb shit I'm not going to talk about because who gives a shit. After the fucking descent into madness I just posted on the podcast, we don't need to hear about some like dumbass PS2 games and stuff that I bought.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, Johnny. What are you are descending into madness.
You want to hear about Choo Choo Charles? Maybe Pumpkin Jack?
We need to end this podcast.
Oh. I bought that World of Warcraft pre-order box.
I think you talked about that last episode, but yeah, that
wasn't sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. That's it. Tyler, what'd you buy? What'd you play? Sorry, I took up so much time there.
Johnny, I bought a brand new sealed copy of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
God damn it, Tyler.
Small box PC for like 40 something bucks. What a deal.
High five. Okay.
Johnny, I played Riven, the sequel to Myst,
You sure
a game that bafflingly sold 4.5 million copies.
To the disappointment of 4.25 million people.
I understand that Myst sold like whatever 8 million copies, however much Myst sold, because one, it was bundled with a lot of stuff, and you saw those 3D graphics and whatever, it was like 1993, 1994, and you're like, hot damn, I didn't know that games could look like this, and it was this brand new novel thing. But I'm just gonna say it, like 97% of people did not beat Myst. 97% of people did not make it off the first island in Myst. They just clicked around or like, I don't know what to do in this game. This is impossible. Or there were just children who did that because a lot of people in the 90s playing video games were just children. So who the fuck was buying the sequel? Who was like, I couldn't get enough of Myst. You're telling me more than half the people who bought Myst bought fucking Riven? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's great, man. This game is impossible.
Do you want to know the best version of Riven to play?
Is it the remake that made it easier?
No, it's definitely the PS1 double thick jewel case that comes with so many discs.
So much of this game, and not so much of this game, there are like 3 books in this game that are like, I don't know, 50 pages long of reading like blotched text, dark brown on light brown cursive writing, and it is a struggle to get through the whole thing. And you're gonna tell me I have to read that now on a 240p PlayStation? I would just quit the game.
I have more from you. I got more for you. Okay, check it out. 1, it's a 5-disc release. It's the most discs for any PS1 game.
That's a good bit of trivia. This game is already annoying enough without having to switch discs. Also, remember having to switch discs? That was a part of games in the 90s that we didn't talk about. But yeah.
So each disc is a different color. The double jewel case required 2 slim CD panels on them. And there's no known variants. It's considered a point-and-click adventure. Here's some fun facts for you. You want to know who developed this game? Besides Cyan?
Oh, I was going to say Cyan.
Besides Cyan.
Is it the company that took over because they stopped making... there's another company that started making Myst, starting with Myst 3. Was it them?
I don't know.
All right.
I can tell you. It's Sunsoft!
Okay, well, it's obviously not Sunsoft who made Myst 3. That's weird.
Yeah,
that is pretty weird. Wow. I don't think that's a very beloved version of Riven, so I don't know. I mean, that's not really good for Sunsoft.
Most collectible version of Myst. It's the Sunsoft copy. And hey, did you know you can use a mouse with this copy?
I guess that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And you can find more facts like this by going to the PlayStationLibrary.com. Hey, he also has a Patreon. Check out Jason. He'll talk to you all about good PS1 stuff. Thanks for all the info, Jason.
Good call out. Johnny.
Yeah.
Just because I've had my head in this game all day, and like I just used a hint guide for like basically the entire game, and it's like one of these games where like once you solve everything, it's like kind of this incredible thing. Like, wow, I can't believe how intricate this solution was, and like literally you could have put me on a desert island for 5 years. I would not have figured out how to solve this game.
What if I told you people beat this game on the PS1?
No one beat this game on any platform without buying like the Prima strategy guide. Fuck you. There are all these people online, and I believed them because I've started Riven a lot, and I really enjoy it because it's such a beautiful and interesting game. And they're just like, if you just immerse yourself in the world and act like you would in real life, the puzzle solutions are easy and they'll just come naturally. And that's fucking bullshit. You all used a Prima strategy guide. You are fucking lying if you're telling me you beat this game without a guide. People...
You want to know... Well, they used to include... There are multiple versions of the PC version that came with a guide included.
I think there's versions of Myst that came with a guide too, because like who was 1993 was gonna beat Myst without a guide?
I'm just saying,
like without the internet even.
Do you want to know what my favorite thing about Riven is?
What?
Is that you've been saying the name wrong this whole time. It is called Riven, the sequel to Myst. That's the title.
So I have been saying the name right.
Yeah. Also, there's a version on the Saturn.
Great.
in Japan. Anyways, go on.
Johnny, you have to deduce. There's a base 5 numeral system with like its own unique symbology, and you have to figure out how the numbers work. They give you a few numbers, and you have to figure that out yourself. That's fine. Then each number has a specific sound tied to it, which you discover around the world by finding the numerals, and there will be a sound that plays with them. And then you find animals around the world that each play different sound effects when you encounter them, but not the same exact sound effect as when you find the numbers. It's just the same type of sound effect. Because to be realistic, animals don't make the same exact sound every time. They make a certain type of sound. So you have to link up, you have to discover the number system, link each number to a sound that number makes when you discover that number in the world, and then you discover different animals, which all have like a different puzzle or pixel hunt to find the animals that make a similar sound. And then there's a puzzle in the game where you have to put abstract symbols of animals in order, and the order you need, and there's like 25 symbols, so it's like impossible to brute force this. And you have to put them in order based on the sounds that you find with the numbers. And I've played this game a lot over like years. I still have my old notes. I have 2 playthroughs worth of notes before I went and played through it this weekend. Not once did I write down a fucking sound effect. I didn't even know that sound was like an element available to be part of a puzzle. And yes, that is a unique and interesting thing, but also, fuck, I wasn't even thinking about sound. I'm just looking at the things on my screen, but god damn, it's so hard.
Tyler, you sound like a crazy person.
It's very, very hard video game. You know what, Johnny? If you think that this sounds like a cool video game, let me tell you about this game called The Outer Wilds, which does everything Riven does. It's still a hard game, but it's possible for a human being to play it, because I don't know if it's possible for human beings to play Riven.
Okay, well, let me give you some more fun facts. Hey, did you know that in Japan, that this game was released in a little cardboard? It was like the disc. It had multiple dual disc boxes that were shipped in an outer box. So it's got like a cardboard sleeve that they go into. Imagine like the D&D cardboard sleeve, but bigger, that the games had to sit in.
So, okay, so it's got like a little sleeve, so if like you pull out each of the discs like that?
No, it's like a box. I'm sorry, a sleeve. It's a cardboard box, right? That double jewel cases go into.
All right.
Multiple. But
all right, so it's got cool packaging in Japan. We're not buying this on PlayStation to begin with. You're getting the PC version of Riven, and you should be getting the pre-order version, which comes in a unique box that's like brown with golden symbols on it.
Yeah, pretty cool. I like it. But do you know who the publisher in Japan is?
Is it Sunsoft?
It sure is not.
Is it Koei?
It sure is not.
All right, well then it wasn't worth mentioning.
It's Square Enix. It's actually just Enix, but
All right.
Not worth mentioning an Enix game.
I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh damn, Riven on PlayStation's an Enix game? I gotta go buy that.
Well, it's an Enix and a Sunsoft game. So there it is.
There it is. Don't buy it. That's all we got for this show, Johnny. It's 3.5 hours in now. Oh my god, it's 4 hours. This is ridiculous.
I told you I was getting us to 4 hours.
Stop the show. Stop it.
That's the episode. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed this descent into madness. Bye!